Things available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
Down, set, Pizza Hut,
Make the play of the game with Pizza Hut. Buy any large Pizza Hut pizza and get another one free. Use code HUT at checkout. That's code HUT for a buy one, get one free exclusive offer to 710 Seattle Sports listeners. No one.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
We're going to give you a minute.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
All right, good morning. Hi, everybody. Once again from beautiful Peoria, Arizona. All this week, Brock and Salk Show live on location at Mariners Spring Training. Great to be with you. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning, Michael. Does it feel like it's lighter today than it even was yesterday?
It does.
Or is that just our spirits?
It could be both.
Is it a little bit
I don't
of
know
both?
why you need to choose.
Yeah, on the drive in, coming down Bell Road, it felt like the sun was coming up a little bit earlier.
Even a little warmer today.
Yes.
I don't know what to tell you.
Gorgeous.
Things are great here in Peoria, and Mariners win again yesterday, and we know that Bryce Miller's going to join us today. I think we'll find some other folks. I ran into Michael Saunders this morning in line at Starbucks, which was nice, and chatted with the ex-Mariner for a little while.
Why would you drink Starbucks, Michael? The
Well-
Sonics left.
Well,
how in the world do you drink Starbucks?
It's funny you bring that up because you picked up more this morning, which was very nice of you.
Yeah.
And so I said I would get the coffee for everybody this morning, and so I asked what everybody wanted.
Yeah.
And Maura wanted an Americano, which I was
Right.
happy to get.
Right.
And I would like to read people the Brock Ewert order of what you get at Starbucks. I don't know if this is why you're so slay or what.
Pretty
When
much.
you texted this last night, I was in an
Yeah.
Uber with Justin going
Yeah.
to dinner, and we were like, whoa.
Was I a little tempted not to text it because I knew
Please.
this was going to happen at 6:02 on the air?
Please bear in mind
Yeah.
that I don't drink coffee.
Right.
So I don't have any idea what any of this stuff means,
Uh-huh.
right? I drink tea if I get anything.
Right.
And so I don't drink coffee. So when I got this order,
Uh-huh.
I was
Was it like foreign language? to you?
I didn't know what almost any of these things meant.
Do you want me to pull it up?
Huh?
You're having a hard time.
Well, I'm
finding
just trying to figure it is. Brock wanted
Yes.
a venti blonde drip coffee
Okay.
with 2 extra blonde shots.
That's right.
Almond milk and 3 stevia.
Yeah. Sounds normal.
Are you that high maintenance? What is going on with you?
Well, venti is the size.
I knew the venti was the
Yes.
size.
You know, I had an Uber driver.
What
that-
makes the coffee blonde? Is that to fit your tips?
Nah, blonde is the kind of roast. It's a lighter roast.
Took me 20 minutes to find it on the app. I was like, look at there, and then it turned out it was actually the first thing, but it was under like special Ethiopian something. I was like, my God, man, I can't even find this stupid thing. So I finally find the blonde roast, and but I'm like, all right, well, where do I find blonde? I'm scrolling down. There's sweeteners. There's like you can add, I think, Jimmy's and sprinkles.
Sure,
and
yeah.
You can add whatever you want. It was crazy.
Yes.
What a world you live in.
Sure is.
So anyway, I got that
Well,
done.
thank you. I appreciate that.
I didn't get anything written to me, but I did use the app to order ahead.
Okay.
So nobody saw me ahead of time.
Oh,
They couldn't
very
tell
nice.
how slay I really was. But it did make me realize that you don't use the app, do you?
I do sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I do sometimes.
I thought you were
Yeah.
like my mom, who was, when I ordered DoorDash last night, nearly had a heart attack.
They do what?
She was very confused.
They deliver food to the house?
Yeah, but then when she found out that it cost me an extra $4, it was on. She's like, well, I don't know why you don't go get it. Well, because, Mom, it's like 30 minutes away. I have stuff to do. I want them to bring it to me. She's like, well, it's just a waste.
Yes.
Like, it's not that big a waste. Meanwhile, my dad's arguing with the dog again.
Again.
They're in a fight.
Yeah.
Poor Walter is very upset.
Does he snip at least back to him? Does he bark? Does he yap at him back a little
No.
bit? Nothing?
No,
He
he
just
sort
takes
of
it?
just looks at him,
Oh.
wags his tail. Doesn't do a whole lot. So yeah, that was my evening last night. You?
Oh, yeah. Gigi and Papa had a nice night with my in-laws. Tonight's going to be with Grandpa Mike and Grandma Peg, so I am sure to have some Progressive Insurance stories tomorrow.
Yeah, so just so I understand, and people I think should know about this.
Are we going to start the show at some point? Or?
This is how we start the show generally at 6 o'clock. You're not here. This is what we do from 6 to
Are we
6.
going to talk about these bats
kinda
being
true.
electric?
No, we
Are
don't
gonna
do
talk
that.
about the run
We don't
score?
do that till.
Can we just start the season tomorrow with this Mariners offense?
We don't do that till
It's been
7.
fixed.
You don't understand the way the show works
Oh,
before
okay,
7
sorry.
o'clock. This is is what we do until about 6:10, and then we kind of get underway at that point.
Gotcha.
With
How
the
is your
no.
coffee a mess again, by the way? What do you do?
I don't know. You know, it's a potent drink, and it got a little spilled.
Look at
It did not
Salk
look-
and I both.
I'm not
Our cups are
complaining.
completely clean. Brock's is drenched down the side.
Yeah.
And that was not the case when I picked it up.
Well,
Like I brought it here, it didn't look like
it's
that.
high voltage. High voltage.
Is it because of all of the extra blonde shots?
I don't know. You were going to ask something about.
I kind of want to try it.
What were you
going to
ask about Peg and Mike? What were you going to ask?
You come down here for a
Yes.
week.
Yeah.
Your in-laws live here.
Uh-huh.
Your parents are here.
Yes. Jeff Johnson's here.
You choose to stay with your in-laws?
Well, for convenience purposes, you know, a little different abodes, right? A little different abodes.
Who's closer to Peoria?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm going to learn today. So, yeah, my parents haven't always been here.
I know.
This is one of the years
I
that
know
they're
that,
actually here.
But
so,
given the choice, you're right.
Yeah.
I think if my in-laws and parents lived in the same spot, and I showed up and chose to stay with my in-laws,
yeah.
I think my parents would be pretty upset.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah. Yeah, I think if it was like an equal footing and they had both been here and like, you know, convenience and all of that, yes. But my parents are not here. This is like a rare year. But
they're here.
But they are here.
And they're not upset that
And
you're
that's
not
why
with
we're
them?
going to the game and we're doing
They're not
dinner
upset
and
that
we're
you're
going-
not staying there?
I don't know. Do you want to have them on?
I think I'd like to find out.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's some of my investigative nature would like to kind of dig
Well,
into
for
that.
sure, when I got into town, the location of in-laws easier than way deep in Surprise. You know, they're up there in what's it called? Happy Endings, Happy Trails, Happy Trails. So,
Brock, it's too early. Behave.
Brock, did you get hit in the head or the knee yesterday? What happened to you?
no, that is a funny little ongoing joke that we have, and it's not about the massage parlors. It's
No?
about the average age being, about
the
85.
endings.
Yes, about 85 plus in there. So, yes.
By the way, speaking of Brock getting hit by a foul ball yesterday,
Yeah.
we have an update that you did tell Cal that he nailed you with it, and he was kind of proud of himself.
He was.
Yeah, he didn't seem to be.
He was like, "Were you on air?"
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Awesome."
Yeah, look at the stitches there.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, you can see where the seam got you. We do have a screen.
We do for
today.
later
We have a big L screen today to try to protect us for anybody who heard us under fire yesterday. It was Scud missiles. Being
By the way,
shot
I
at
sent
us
you
there.
the video late last night. Did you guys end
I
up
did.
ever watching that with Bryce?
did
being
watch
mic'd
the
up?
Bryce Miller.
I watched it 3 times.
I did not, but I
I
watched
know.
it once and it
I
was
know.
entertaining.
He is a live wire.
Yeah, he's pretty funny.
He is a fun dude. I sent that to a few of my buddies. Mr. Curran, who used to play baseball at Wazoo, he's like, "Yep, that's baseball." And honestly, as I watch that, I'm thinking, you know what I was wired to do and equipped to do? Pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I should have been a left-handed pitcher. As much as I enjoyed being a left-handed quarterback, and I think I was totally as an instigator, totally as a goofball, totally as just my wiring analytically. I think I was meant to pitch. So.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's. I mean, backup quarterback and pitcher are sort of similar, and I don't say that to insult you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarity there, right? You got to be sort of fun. You got to be relatable, charismatic. Like, those things are kind of similar.
They are, and the ball's in your hand, and you get the opportunity then to just kind of control it, and you do enjoy
But you
that
also get some
power.
time off,
Yeah.
right? Hey, you're the
Yes.
backup quarterback. You're not the actual quarterback.
I mean,
you're
I saw
a
it-
pitcher. You're only pitching every 5 days. Like, there's some similarity there. There's a lot of that's kind of relates.
I believe I saw you with Bryce with a football last year. So does he?
Yeah.
Does he sometimes wish he was a quarterback?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, no, for sure. It's kind of like NBA guys thinking they're rap song singers too, right? Rappers. So I think most quarterbacks, pitchers. Oh, hi, buddy. Oh, look at this. Oh, good. Oh, you're making Tucker run.
Tucker, the Mariners dog, won't let people pet him, but he just let Salk throw the tennis ball for him.
He dropped it right in front of me.
Oh, that is so.
And he's coming back now.
Wow.
Come on, buddy.
Wow. Look at
Come
this.
on.
Don't make him run quite as far this time.
Oh, he actually lets the ball go.
Oh.
Gertie, when I do stuff with her, she
Oh, there you go.
she runs away with the ball.
Oh, my dog doesn't understand the concept of fetch either.
Not great with fetch.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, what a great start to the morning.
I know. Yeah, that
Should
definitely.
we
makes
just
me
do this
happy.
whole show? Let's just do this whole show. Oh, there
What
he
else
goes.
are we gonna
Oh,
do?
he's gone.
You want to
See
talk
ya.
about the Mariners? No way.
Are you
That's
kidding
boring.
me, dude?
They're crushing.
They don't lose.
They're killing it.
Huh?
They are a hitting machine, and we're
Bro.
going to tell you guys all about how they hit. Coming up next, and everything you need to know. Justin Hollander at 6:30 if you missed it, and then we're going to talk to Bryce Miller, the man in Brock's video yesterday. That's all coming up. It's Brock and Salk live in Peoria, Seattle Sports on 710, SeattleSports.com.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Clint Kubiak, your brand new OC, joining us right now in studio. What were some of the weapons here you were most intrigued by, or maybe you kind of started thinking once you knew you got the job, like,
obviously it starts with the quarterback. Really impressed with Gino, DK, Jax, Noah Fant. There's a lot of pieces to be excited about, but there's also going to be some new pieces we add to the roster. That's the really fun part of coaching is getting to be a part of guys' careers.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, we are committed to giving you quality workmanship and white glove service that exceed your expectations. Get our exclusive leak armor installation backed by a lifetime warranty. Choose Lake Washington Windows and Doors, a name you can trust.
Progressive knows we all crave validation.
Girl, you are not 37.
I would have guessed 27.
You guys are too sweet.
Sure, dewy skin. Terrific.
Is something wrong, Ned?
Why would you ask? Just because today marks my 10th anniversary without a car accident or even a speeding ticket? But somehow, tonight's all about your skincare.
Wow.
With Snapshot from Progressive, you can get a personalized rate based on how you drive. And that's all the validation you need. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet.
Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15 bill credit with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without auto pay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge applies. Speeds vary due to factors affecting cellular networks.
Guys, your testosterone level impacts your energy, drive, weight, hair loss, and even ED. Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your T level for free. For your free T level check, exam, and consultation, call 206-529-1111 or visit revivemenshealth.com.
Sherry, what have you done to your hair?
What do you mean? Does it not look good?
It doesn't look good. It looks freaking amazing. I can't believe how thick and healthy it looks. Oh, I must know your secret.
No secret. It's hair volume from New Nordic.
Hair volume, huh? Well, it certainly lives up to its name. Your hair has never looked so thick. It is gorgeous.
I was so tired of having thin and brittle hair. Ugh, and the shedding. So I figured I'd give hair volume a try. Needless to say, I'm thrilled with the results. Hey, where are you going?
I'm going to pick up some hair volume right now. My reunion's next month, and I want my hair to look as good as yours.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural health products from New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Scandinavia. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or your local CVS. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Help your hair look full, voluminous, and beautiful again at nordicUSA.com or CVS.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Progressive knows sports brings people together, but you gotta feel bad for people who don't even get it. Some people will never know what it's like to see their favorite team's hopes decided by a ping pong ball to draft the next superstar. Or not. I mean, sure, it's silly for your happiness to hinge on the success of a 20-year-old entry-level employee, but you just can't help yourself. The stress is exhilarating. Progressive can't bring people together like the draft, but we can bring your home and auto insurance together with a bundle. So switch and see if you could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Every window tells a story, whether it's watching your kids play outside or enjoying a beautiful sunset. This is Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. Our replacement windows are designed to frame those moments. Brighten your home with our exclusive offer. Buy 3 windows and get 1 free. Call today to take advantage of this limited deal. 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to schedule a free estimate. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
We're going double or nothing every Friday night with $135,000 in cash and free play on the line. Get a taste of this hot seat happy hour action every week in January and February with drawings every 30 minutes starting at 6:30 p.m. We're upping the ante at 11:30 with double $5,000 cash drawings. Add a little spice to your Friday night fun. Don't forget, your Reef Rewards card can save you up to 25 cents per gallon at Lummi Bay Market next to Silver Reef. Silver Reef Casino Resort, located off I-5 exit 260.
The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Lee Johnson Auto Family. This is King. This organization's a special one. They call it the Lee Johnson Auto Family, and it's not just a name, it's not just some cliche. They foster an environment for us to become a family, to work together, to really become close, and they show us in a lot of different ways that they do value us. Is it perfect? No, no place is. But I've been very thankful to be here in the almost 10 years and have every plan to stay here for a lot longer and just watch it continue to grow.
He's fun and professional, which explains why so many people visiting Lee Johnson Kia ask for him by name. The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, it took a couple extra days, but the Mariners' bats have finally arrived here at spring training. One day after scoring 11 runs on 17 hits, they scored 12 more times on 13 more hits. This time, the long ball, a big part of the damage. Mitch Haniger early, Hogan Windish went long. Who? Hogan Windish, and so did the big fella, Laz Montez.
The stretch and the pitch, swinging a high fly ball into center field, and deep. Mitchell going back to the warning track to the wall, and this one is gone. Goodbye baseball. Lazaro Montez with a 3-run home run off the batter's eye in straightaway center field. He pumps his fist around second, points out to the Mariners bullpen. Lazaro Montez with a 3-run drive. Holy smokes, and the Mariners now lead 12-8 over the Brewers. That young man can flat out hit.
He's huge.
Yes.
He's enormous. You guys got to see this guy in person. He is a large human being.
That was a bomb. And as it turns out, and Divish tweeted this later, and Shannon, that he was actually pointing. He was pretty excited about that.
As he should be.
To his family.
Ah.
Yeah, he had family. I believe his parents were in town to watch that. And then had not seen him as a Mariner, certainly not in a Major League camp, do something like that. So a whole bunch of excitement for family and Laz.
I believe they hadn't seen him play in 2 years.
Wow.
And they got to see that.
Ah, that's awesome.
2 walks as well. I think I like those, Salk, as much as I like the home run.
You do?
Quality at bats.
All right, I like to hear that. Michael Arroyo, who can really hit, had a nice day at the plate as well. Logan Gilbert was fine. Struck out the side in the first, came out after giving up 2 runners in the second, both of whom came around to score afterwards. He said he was trying some stuff, but Cal did not like it. Here's some Logan.
I did try something new. It's a little early, so
you want to discuss it?
It's a version of a sinker that was really good in the bullpen and then didn't throw a strike with it in the game. So we're getting there.
Cal's never going to call it again.
Baby steps, I know. He was pretty upset.
Cal was pretty upset, he says.
Yeah, you know what I think we need to do? I think we need to have Cal and Logan on together. What do you think? We've done this in some of our production meetings. I think if we had just Cal and Logan together on air,
you think that would be that would work?
I think that would be the way to go. Yes,
I think we could probably try something like that at some point. They seem to have quite the chemistry. Anyway, Mariners win big. Tough outing for Colin Snyder. Tough outing for someone named Charles Bylinson. And they will take on the Dodgers today with Luis Castillo set to make his first start.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Little roster move yesterday. Small addition to the spring training group. The team brought back Trevor Gott, who was here in 2023. You might remember him. He was signed that year. Started in the pen. I think he threw 20, 25, something like that, appearances, but then was sent to the Mets along with Chris Flexen for Zach Muckenhern. Now tell me you remember that name, Zach Muckenhern.
I do not.
Gott gets a minor league deal after not pitching last season.
He was pretty good, I thought, with the Mariners.
He was, yeah.
You liked him.
I always did.
Yes.
I was sort of excited.
He was on Salk's.
He was on the Salk list of guys
fly
I liked.
list.
Yep,
Yes.
he was. That was 2 years ago. Last year, that was Cody Bolton. Bolton didn't work out very well.
Yep.
He's Gott strikes a lot of guys out.
Yeah.
What he doesn't do is have tremendous control.
Yeah.
So he walks a few too many, but a lot of strikeouts, and he limits the home runs. I don't know. He's another guy who could absolutely compete for a spot here, and they've got a bunch of them. Justin Hollander yesterday, not so much on the bullpen, but more just on the youth in general, asked him about what it means to let them run with it.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to say, hey, this is hold on. Just be patient for a moment.
No, I am. I'm great.
We had a lot going on here this morning.
Yes, we are.
Justin Hollander was talking with us yesterday about the young guys, and they do have an opportunity to, if they can show you something, run with it, maybe make the major league roster. All right, we'll come back to that. Don't worry about it, Brock. We're going to play you the whole
player. They tell you when they're ready. We can sit around all winter and say, well, maybe he'll be ready in April, or maybe it'll be June. Ultimately, they tell you. In spring training, it's a little harder to figure out sometimes, just because nothing that happens on the field here is that predictive of anything. Once you get into the regular season, the players tell you. Julio told us in 22, I'm absolutely ready to go. I'm ready to go from a talent perspective. I'm ready to go from a skills perspective. And I'm ready to go from a maturity perspective. I just don't think it's super productive to put limits on young players, particularly the ultra talented ones. They'll push people out of the way when they're ready.
I mean, when you see Las Montez hitting home runs, when you see Colt Emerson out there, when you see Ben Williamson making plays and hitting the ball hard all over the ballpark, yeah, I mean, it's easy to get enticed by what you're seeing here at spring training and wondering how that will translate. Yes, Julio found a way in a couple of years ago, and there's no reason some other folks won't be able to do the same thing.
That guy right there? Is that Montez?
He's huge.
Huh?
He's a giant.
Yes.
He's really a large man.
And he just kind of has an energy. The minute he walked around that wall, you'd kind of feel him.
Yeah, I believe it.
John Schneider kind of feel that guy.
Well, speaking of John Schneider, I got quite the story for you here.
Yes.
Hold on. Let's get to the third thing you need to know.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
So this is a Niners blogger named Grant Cohn.
Oh, yeah, Grant.
And he's flying to
this
the
guy's
combine,
a character, by the way.
Clearly.
Oh, he stands outside the chain link fence. He videotapes stuff.
He's a weird guy.
He's gotten in fights with players before.
I believe that.
He's quite
so I don't know what to make of this story, if it's even true. But I'll let him.
Well, he had some video.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's true.
Well, here is his story of who he saw on his plane as he flew from the Bay
Vegas?
Area. No, the Bay Area, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I think he flew from the Bay Area to Seattle to Indy.
There we go. Yes.
And here I'll let him tell.
So I'm walking through first class, and I see Seattle Seahawks head coach Mike McDonald and Seattle Seahawks general manager John Schneider just sitting next to each other casually, going to the combine like me. So I go to my seat and coach. I have the money, but I just want to go coach this time. And I'm sitting there, we take off, and I notice this shorter, older gentleman with really white hair walking next to me. And he's trying to go to the bathroom, but the flight attendants are passing out beverages. So they tell him, sir, you're gonna have to go back to your seat until we're done. It was Pete Carroll, flying coach. Apparently the Raiders don't quite have the funds to send him first class like the Seahawks do with their personnel. So Pete Carroll waited, as he was told, and then went back to first class, not to use the restroom really, but to just stand in first class without a first class ticket. And he did that for an hour. He was talking to Mike McDonald and John Schneider about God knows what. So Pete Carroll did that for about an hour, and clearly the flight attendants knew who he was because they didn't bother him. If I had tried to do that, they would have tased me.
Oh, my God. Don't tase me, bro. So there you go. Poor Pete, working for a poverty franchise, can't even go first class.
No. Somewhere your mother's listening right now and saying, see, Michael, that's how you do it.
That's how you save
That
money.
is why, yes, you want to know why Pete Carroll's got all that money? Because he's not spending $4 extra on DoorDash, and he's not sitting in first class. He's going to sign a better free agent because he's sitting in coach.
He saved that $400.
He saved the organization $400, $500, $600, and he doesn't have to sit up there in first class like those Seahawks guys.
All right. Well, quite the story. That is everything you need to know. Quarter past every hour.
What do you think they were talking about?
I don't know. That's a good. So an hour.
There was video, by the way. There were a bunch of pictures.
Okay. So an hour of the three of them chatting.
Yes.
I don't know. I would bet a large seriously, I would bet a large portion of that is talking about support staff and people they all know and people Mike's gotten to know over the course of the last year, don't you think?
Yes, I think like any employer and employee out there, when you leave a place, you also are probably talking about the employer. You're probably talking about Jody, and Bert, and Chuck, and or the rest of the folks.
100%.
Because I don't think that Pete does a whole bunch of talking with some of them. But also, Pete is in a constant quest to learn, and I'm sure, and he was always curious about McDonald and that system and that style. And
there's no reason why there would be any animosity there or anything. I mean, if there would be any, it would be between Pete and John, and I'm not suggesting there is.
Yep.
But if there was going to be animosity anywhere, it certainly wouldn't be between Pete and McDonald. They don't have any reason, and by all accounts, ran into each other a few times.
Maybe a Russell story came up between John and
Now
Pete.
that feels like a real possibility.
Ring the bell.
Coming up next, Justin Hollander sat down and answered everything you would need to know about this Mariner team, about their offseason, about their structure, and about what to expect this year. Stick around. It's next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
We've been going position group by position group. We move on to safeties, Dave. So you got Julian Love, who's entering the first year of a 3-year extension. He had a great season. You got Kobe Bryant in the final year of his rookie deal. Rayshon Jenkins is the most likely cap casualty here because he's got a $7.9 million cap hit. And if they release him, they save $5.4 million. He had some plays, but he didn't have $7.9 million cap hit plays.
I agree. Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and switch to the expensive shampoo with amino acids. Sure, you don't know what those are or why you need them, but it sounds very impressive. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can massage it into your scalp every day. Now, if only you can get people to lean toward your head to smell those aminos. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shampoo, Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here, and obviously the weather in Arizona has been beautiful. Not always the case at home, especially this time of year. So if you're noticing that your utility bills are getting a whole lot higher this winter, your home is feeling drafty, it might just be because your attic and crawl space aren't properly insulated. So that's why you call Crawl Pros. I did exactly that. They came out to my place, did an awesome job checking around, seeing what was going on, figuring out that, yeah, we did have some insulation issues, and then they got everything fixed. Now, right now is the time to do this because the utility companies have special incentives to help with the cost. That's right. If you're a PSE customer and your home was built before 1990, you could qualify to receive a rebate on up to 95% of the cost to properly insulate your crawl space and attic. That's huge, 95%. Don't wait. Take advantage of these incredible deals and rebates right now. Call Crawl Pros and learn what's going on back behind that crawl space or attic hatch for free. If you're worried about critters, mold, water damage, insulation issues, or anything else related to your crawl space or attic, schedule a free corner-to-corner inspection at crawlpros.com.
Welcome to TGL presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp and it's electric. How is it sharp? How is it electric? Good questions. Try this on for size. 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime, forcing, playoffs on the line, golf. With 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour. Split into 6 teams. Atlanta, Boston, Jupiter, LA, New York, and the Bay. This isn't your average Sunday pickup game. Tune in every week for TGL matches, only on ESPN. Keep up. It's golf.
When you're in the thick of a project, Harbor Freight is the place that always comes in handy. Whether you're picking up something for your pickup truck or a power tool for your project, at Harbor Freight, your dollar always goes further. And these days, when everything seems to cost more, you can take pride in knowing that you get hard-working tools at hard-working prices. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
Seattle Sports is in Arizona for spring training baseball. Go behind the scenes with Brock and Salk all this week from 6 to 10
on Seattle Sports.
It's time to go all in at Toyota of Kirkland. All in on their commitment to quality, innovation, and durability that makes Toyota of Kirkland certified pre-owned and used vehicles the best in the market. When a product is made better, it lasts longer, and Toyota of Kirkland is the place to be to go all in on your next used vehicle for that reason. With a large inventory of certified pre-owned and used vehicles with incredible savings, why not visit their wonderful staff and beautiful showroom today at Toyota of Kirkland or online at toyotaofkirkland.com and go all in on your next car.
O'Brien.
They say teachers don't impact for a year, but for a lifetime. Hi, this is Rick Riz. Join WSECU, your local credit union, as we celebrate those who give so much with the Teacher of the Week program. Nominate a teacher you feel has changed a life in our community. Each week throughout the season, we'll honor one teacher with a $500 grant, courtesy of WSECU. Teachers are the real MVPs. Find out more and nominate a teacher at mynorthwest.com/teacher.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi, my daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are gonna need a bigger cake.
Now through March 4th, get fast, reliable Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires pre-postponed and auto-pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
Brock and Salk's Rewind is presented by Toyota of Kirkland.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, we roll on from spring training. Mariners home here in Peoria. And I can't believe, but I'm pretty sure this is true. I don't think Justin Hollander has ever joined our show, but he is here at the picnic table with us now, even after the insult he endured from Mora, who just totally called him by the wrong name. This man is the executive vice president of the Mariners.
I know who he is. I just said hi to Ryan Divish, and for some reason, my brain, I said hi, Ryan, again.
Mora.
And I just apologized.
Oh, my God.
And do you know what he said? He didn't even notice.
Oh, my God.
So I just outed myself for no reason.
Mora, you represent us, and this is how this happens?
I deeply apologize, Justin.
Executive Vice President Justin Hollander.
You just did it.
I did it on purpose.
I do think this is my maiden voyage on the
is.
show. I'm assuming I'm here so Brock and I can break down all of Ohio State's run to the CFP.
Oh,
so.
Would you like to?
Absolutely.
Give me the number one key.
The defense was awesome. And Jeremiah Smith is good. That's those two things are going to get you a long way.
When they lost to Michigan, did you, in your wildest dreams, believe they would go on that run and win a national title?
No, I really didn't. I was so happy for Ryan Day to have overcome all the critics and the people just all over him. The lunatic fringe is a term that's thrown around, and like I don't think it's as big as people make it out to be. But it's a hard job. It's hard. It's a great job, but it's a hard job. And for him, I just think he does all the right things. He wins a ton of games. He seems from a distance to be a good human in a sport that doesn't have a lot of those at the top of the food chain. And I was so thrilled for him, and it was so fun to watch with my kids. My son is a huge fan, and to watch that 4-game run was incredible.
All right, since this is your maiden voyage on the show, and I think this is a question we get often, and we've tried to explain it a little bit, but maybe it would be good to hear from you. What is the difference between your job and Jerry's job? What is the difference between president of baseball ops and executive VP GM?
I think the thing that Jerry has done for me is make me his partner in a lot of ways. So he's invited me in to make the decisions, to work together. We don't always agree on everything, and usually we come to some sort of compromise if we don't agree. Ultimately, the final decision rests with him, but he gives me a lot of latitude along the way to cultivate and develop staff, to install systems and programs that we both think can help make us better, and ultimately to shape the roster from the Dominican all the way to the big leagues. And he's been unbelievable to me over the years. You know, I've worked with Jerry every year but one since the fall of 2011, and the trust that he has put in me is obviously an amazing feeling. He's done a ton for me.
How much of that job, of your job, is managing the staff of baseball operations? Because I think people think of the GM, they think that all day you're on the phone making trades and signing people and scout. Like, how much of your job is spent just managing people like any other manager in the world, not in baseball?
99%, in not exaggerating.
How many people report to you?
I have 6 direct reports, and then from there it spirals off. Jerry and I kind of split up the VP leadership group. And he has entrusted me with a lot of the sort of the pro personnel group and the office group, data science, analytics, baseball projects, and then player personnel at the pro level. And then Jerry tends to take more hands-on with PD and scouting on the amateur and international level. And then we sort of collaborate on the major league roster and staff. The best way I can explain it is I just don't really believe in the super executive, the one person who can walk out on the fields and go, that guy can play, the rest of these guys can't. I'm going to go acquire that guy. I don't need the rest of it. We're all only as good as the people that we surround ourselves with. And I think, you know, we're so lucky here to have so many impact people across all of our departments. That is what has made us good as we've sort of taken a step back, rebuilt, and then taken big steps forward. I think we will have more steps to take, but it's the people. It's the people that make an impact every day. There's no way that Jerry or I or really any of our department heads could affect 180 baseball ops employees every day.
And you realize, we'll get to baseball, but you realize after he was a Buckeye and before 2011, you know what he did for 4 years? He was an attorney.
I did know that.
I'd like to know what the back of the baseball card from your attorney days looks like.
Really boring. it was a lot of paperwork, which is the reason I don't do it now. Like I can't think of I'm out here, it's sunny, this guy's playing catch over here, and I just think about the soul-sucking job of filling out paperwork all day in a suit. Compared to this, I made a good decision.
All right, you want to talk baseball? Let's start with the number one guy on this team. The pivot for everything is Julio Rodriguez. For all the questions about the offense the last couple of years, I was pointing out earlier, when Julio hits, there's no problem with the offense. It all seems to work just fine. So where is he at between the relationship with Edgar, the relationship with his personal hitting coach? Where is Julio at in your eyes?
I think the first place I'd start is probably the best question to ask Julio himself. He knows himself better than anybody. From my perspective, I think he's in a great spot. I think it takes a while for guys to come in the league and figure out their own identity, what they're good at, what they're trying to accomplish, develop plans and routines that make sense for them, because what may work for me may not work for you, and what may work for one player that he views from across the clubhouse or across the dugout may not work for him. It may not work for his body. It may not work for his mind. And I think he continues to take steps forward and developing his own identity, both on the field in terms of what he can do in the batter's box, what he does defensively, and in the clubhouse, cultivating his own way of leading, his own way of galvanizing the group of players around him. Everybody knows he's the most talented guy on the field. There's no question about that. I think he has taken real steps forward second half of last year and this offseason and now into spring training in terms of how he's leading, how he's preparing himself to go max out his tools every day.
Do you have a sense how Edgar and Kevin Seitzer work with OV, his personal coach? How does that relationship function?
I think that relationship functions in that the most important thing we can all do is communicate. We can all communicate with what we're trying to work on, what Julio feels like the right thing to work on is then make sure the message is consistent every day. Make it simple for the player. It's a very complicated game. Coaching at its basic is making it as simple as you can for the person who's trying to execute it when the pitcher's throwing at 100 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. Just a couple weeks here in the camp and 3 games in. Obviously, the infancy stages of all of this. But just big picture baseball-wise, as you look at this group of men that are all out here now and working and on the field, big picture, 30,000-foot level, what jumps out about this personnel group?
I think the depth of the pitching really stands out. You know, last year, obviously we had bullpen injuries that affected us. And I think coming into camp, it was one of our questions is this group of collective pitchers 1 through 13 as deep and good as it has been in previous years?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there were some hurdles to jump over as we got through the first half of last year between the injuries and some of the guys that just weren't able to take steps forward like we hoped. This year feels different. It feels more like 23 for us, more like 22 for us, just in terms of the depth of interesting arms, the guys who we really think can contribute. And then obviously, I don't want to bury the lead, the 5 guys at the front who start the game every day for 5 days straight. They're really good, really, really good, and the steps they have taken in their own personal growth are noticeable.
Who's on that list of guys that can contribute and maybe even especially in the rotation? Yeah. We were talking about it earlier. You guys have had an unbelievable run here with this group, and I don't want to jinx anything, and we're hoping that you guys found the secret to keeping pitchers healthy. If that's not the case, who else could we see?
I don't suspect that's the case. I think we care a lot and we work really hard to do the right thing for the players all the time. I don't think we found the pixie dust that's going to allow us to keep pitchers healthy when the rest of the free world can't. We'll have adversity to overcome this year. Everybody does. Emerson Hancock was really good yesterday. We saw Logan Evans the other day, and it was like a typical Cactus League outing where it's 2 infield hits and then the ball bloops in, and it can get fast for him. I was super impressed with the way he handled that. He has really good stuff. We've seen Brandon Garcia in this camp already. You'll see him in a game here coming up. He's been really good.
He's been a reliever
Correct.
this year.
Yes.
If something were to go horribly wrong, could he be moved back to being a starter?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that prevents us from doing that. We do think his quickest path to impact is out of the bullpen, and so I would frame him in sort of both buckets of guys who can impact us in different roles. We saw Casey Legamina and Shintaro Fujinami yesterday. Both those guys are really interesting. Fuji has unbelievable stuff, and I thought his ability to mix in his secondary stuff yesterday and throw it for strikes was a nice step forward. And then Casey's really unique. Obviously, we've had guys with that slot before, and I don't want to compare him to Sewald or Tyson Miller last year. But he does a lot of things that are similar, and just locking him in on what his plan A is and sort of aggressively attacking that every outing has been a focus for us, and I'm really excited about what he's doing right now.
16 years ago, first camp down here, spring training, Salk taught me a valuable lesson. That competition. I came in here just a total meathead when it came to baseball. Still largely am. But, competition isn't always a great thing. You kind of want a lot of your team settled. And if there's a spot here or a spot there, that can be healthy. Do I kind of hear you say that maybe the most competitive spot on this roster will be the back end of that bullpen? Not the leverage guys, but the bullpen in totality? Is there some legitimate competition there?
It always is in that spot. Obviously, we talked about injuries a minute ago, and just relievers by nature tend to be more volatile. I've been really impressed with what we've seen from Gabe Spire, who obviously had the unbelievable year in 23 when we acquired him. I think last year he struggled to figure out what was working for him and what wasn't. And you can see the work that he put in this offseason, and just the Gabe going forward looks really good right now. His body's in a great place. What's coming out of his hand is really strong. We had guys step up in the second half, guys like Trent Thornton, guys like Troy Taylor, that are really going to be interesting on this team. Colin Snyder is a guy who was awesome for us in the second half. We didn't anticipate and weren't really prepared for those guys in the first half of last year. We feel like with the addition of what those guys did in the second half, some of the names we just hit on, and then obviously Mooney, Santos, and hopefully a soon-to-be healthy Matt Brash. That's a really good bullpen.
I heard I read a quote from Jerry the other day, and I want to make sure it's accurate. He's not always quoted perfectly, so I want to make sure I get this one right. I
am not going there.
I just want to make sure it's right. It's just accurate. He said something along the lines of the young guys will let them, if they show us something, we'll let them run with it.
Yep.
Can you elaborate on that? What does that mean to let some of the young guys run with it? Does that mean like straight out of spring? Does that mean in a few months? What does that mean?
I think it means something different for every player. They tell you when they're ready. We can sit around all winter and say, well, maybe he'll be ready in April, or maybe it'll be June. Ultimately, they tell you. And spring training is a little harder to figure out sometimes, just because nothing that happens on the field here is that predictive of anything. Once you get into the regular season, the players tell you. Julio told us in 22. I'm absolutely ready to go. I'm ready to go from a talent perspective. I'm ready to go from a skills perspective. And I'm ready to go from a maturity perspective. I just don't think it's super productive to put limits on young players, particularly the ultra-talented ones. They'll push people out of the way when they're ready.
How do you make that decision in stacking this rotation? You mentioned they're the foundation of this whole deal anyway, right? Dan comes in and Logan, where is he at? Luis, where is he? Is it a given that Luis is going to be starter day one, or will they kind of tell you and the guys tell you that over the next month?
I think that's a decision that's a sort of a collective organizational decision, but I do think it's ultimately the manager and the pitching coaches who should make that call. Whatever order we start in will probably not be the order that we're in by the end of April. Things will happen. Somebody will get skipped. We'll move somebody around. We'll have a rain out. Obviously, it's a huge honor the way in which we start to take the ball on opening day. The Mariners have had an unbelievable run of just like dudes with a capital D take the ball on opening day. However, Dan and the pitching coaches decide to work that out, we're in a good spot because we have 5 guys who could legitimately take the ball on opening day for most teams.
How do you feel about your offseason?
I feel fine about the offseason. I want to answer this in the right way. In general, when you go to an offseason, you spend all of October vetting what are the possibilities with other teams. And then free agency starts in early November, and you vet all those possibilities. We tried very hard to make transactions that maybe were more impactful than what we ultimately ended up doing. What we did not want to do is make transactions for transaction's sake. Doing things to make me emotionally feel like we accomplished something that actually made us worse is not a good decision in the long run. There's all sorts of biases and moral hazards that you can attach with the jobs that people in my role do. And what I can't get caught up in is doing something that makes me feel good in a moment. Hey, let's shake up the snow globe. Let's do a bunch of things that ultimately make the roster worse, make the floor lower without making the ceiling higher. So we would have liked to have accomplished more to add more to the team. I don't think that there's an end date on doing that right now.
How did you go through the thought process of pitching, balancing the two sides of your team, pitching and hitting? The team was obviously last year heavily imbalanced towards the pitching side. Yeah. What would you need to get back to be willing to give up some of the strength to help some of the weakness?
It's wins in, wins out. Like there's obviously if you're on the extreme end, if you're all one way and not all the other way, it can be hard more emotionally than it can actually be like from the spreadsheet perspective. And I'm not immune to that. We feel like we have probably a more balanced team than we're given credit for in some way. But ultimately, the results on the field will speak to whether that's right or wrong. I said it, I think, 2 weeks ago when I was in visiting with you guys and Bump and Stacy. We played terrible offense for 4 months as a team, just bad. Like, there's no sugarcoating it. There's no way of getting around it. We were frustrated. We just did not consistently play good offense. We didn't do the big things, and we didn't do the little things. For the last 2 months of the season, we played pretty good offense, and it's not a 34-game Dan and Edgar sample. It's like, for really from the All-Star break on, post Vic playing every day and post acquiring Randy, along with JT, we played really good offense. We did the little things well, and we did the big things well. We took our walks, and we hit homers. We also moved runners and stole bases. We were really well-rounded. We need to do that for 6 months. We believe in this roster. It's partially why we were less transactional, because we felt like just doing things to shake it up when we felt like we do have a good roster that underachieved for large segments of the season last year offensively was not smart. We were banking somewhat on the players that we have being better than they were over the 6-month season. but we need to go show it. There's no other way of getting around it. We cannot play offense. I want to say on like July 1st, we were 28th in the league in runs scored. We cannot play offense like that.
Mm-hmm. Is you vetted and planned for the market conditions there in October and into November? Anything jump out with what the market actually did over the months that followed?
Not really. I wouldn't say we were surprised, and I don't mean that to come off in an arrogant way at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like every year, somebody gets a little more than you're expecting. Somebody's a little harder to acquire via trade than you're expecting. But in aggregate, like we viewed the infield market as kind of a tough market this offseason, but we knew that was an area we had to address. We viewed the pitching market as likely a very expensive venture in free agency and a tough to acquire venture in trade.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of conversations this offseason, and ultimately we just never got to a point where anyone in our room was convicted or had momentum that it was going to make us better to trade off of our current Major League roster for pieces we just didn't feel like were of equal value to our team.
What about the veteran leadership presence? We've talked over the years about the difference that Carlos Santana made, that Justin Turner made. Both of those guys ended up elsewhere this offseason. How do you feel the clubhouse is in terms of that veteran presence?
Feel really good about the clubhouse as a whole. Obviously, that's a part of Donovan Solano's skill set. He's been on good teams for a long time. After we agreed to terms with him, Perry Hill, unprompted, picked up the phone and called me and just said the best. He is the best. He and Polo, fit really well together. Bone compared the two of them and said, these guys are at the top of my scale for veteran leaders who always are in the right place, who always do the right thing. Obviously, we have some of our own guys coming back that we feel good about. I think Cal and Logan Gilbert taking steps forward in their own careers. Young leaders like Bryce Miller, guys around the diamond. Dylan Moore has been a leader in our clubhouse. I do think Victor Robles is sort of an underrated leader and really galvanized the group. The energy that he brought every day last year was big for us. So I don't think it's ever really one person, but there's no question that guys like Carlos and JT brought a ton to us in that area, just in the value of having been through it and done almost everything you can do in baseball.
Justin, what do you think is the biggest misperception for those of us that are not in the room, those of us that are not in the day-to-day, those of us that don't handle all the responsibilities that come with management and administration of all the people and personnel? What do you think is the biggest misperception for those of us outside to the business of baseball on the inside?
Wow, that's a great question. I've never gotten asked that question before, so I'm just going to talk for a minute and try and sort through what I think that is.
That's what we do every day.
Misperception. I think it's how much goes into any one player. Like the number of people in a baseball ops group that affect the decisions from the time that player is drafted or signed all the way to the time that he gets in the big leagues to the improvement they make. There's so many people, and we're sort of an average-sized baseball ops group, 180 people in the org, and all of them have a real impact on what goes on with the Mariners on the major league field. And I don't think people realize how many people are invested night to night in that outcome, even if they're not in Seattle that day, if they're in Little Rock working with the AA team, or they're in Everett, or they're a scout who's on the East Coast or in Japan or Korea. Like all of those people have such a huge role in what we do every day, and no one ever hears about them.
The analytical side of things, I imagine that's still a major part of the way you acquire and choose who to acquire and who to draft, etc. What role is it going to be playing in terms of major league strategy on the field? Because what we saw last year and a lot of what we've heard seems like it runs pretty contrary to a lot of the analytical revolution over the last 20, 30 years. Is the team still invested in analytics as a major part of their strategy?
I don't think there's going to be any change from the way we've sort of handled strategy from a data perspective over the years. I would sort of disagree with the premise that things change down the stretch. There's no data science or analytical measure that doesn't think that stealing bases at a high rate of success is the right thing to do. If we talk about bunting, tell me what the score is, tell me where we're playing, tell me who's batting, tell me who's pitching, tell me what inning it is. Then I'll tell you whether it's a good idea or not. I thought we executed at a really high level from a data strategy perspective over the last 6 weeks of the season. If you sort of want to draw an arbitrary line to pre-Dan and post-Dan, and I would expect us to continue to execute at a high level.
So Dan is not going to play this like 1980s or 90s baseball?
I don't think so, no.
No?
I mean, we ran pretty, I wouldn't say hardline platoons, but we platoon players over the last 35, 40 games of the season, just like we had before. We pinch hit, if anything, a little more than we had before. We were more aggressive on the bases, but in some ways I think our talent dictated, with Victor and Randy, us being more aggressive on the bases than we had. Different players have different skill sets, but I don't anticipate us like turning back the clock and doing anything differently. I think the whole staff is sort of wired to approach things from an evidence-based way.
Where will we, and we, the collective Mariner fans and all of us that follow this every single day and love it, where will we feel maybe the most difference between Dan and Edgar? And we got to see it in a snippet, right, for the final 35, 40 games. Where do you think we'll feel it the most this spring and heading into this 25 season?
I don't know if you will. I got to be honest. I mean, inevitably when you talk about someone new who's here, you're sort of making a statement about someone who isn't here anymore. Scott believed in, moving runners and hitting with runners in scoring position. Scott believed in the center of the field. I do think the messaging will be different. I think Edgar's gift is in the message, his ability to make it simple for hitters, to talk about big ideas, but distill them into ways that really connect and resonate with players because he's presenting them in a way that's simple and not complicated. I think that strikes the perfect balance for what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to take all of this data and info and these big ideas, and we're going to put them in the funnel and have an awesome messenger at the bottom of the funnel to tell the player, this is what I'm hoping you can accomplish. This is what I believe you can do. And I think Edgar's gift as a hitting coach is just that. He connects with players. He can make the complicated simple. I think that's a big reason why Kevin Seitzer connected with all of us in the interview process, because he and Edgar are kind of cut from the same cloth. Like, they all believe in, hitting the ball hard in the air to the alleys. Edgar's way of messaging it may be different than what we've had in the past, and I hope it resonates better than it has in the past.
Last thing, give us one guy, one name that we haven't talked about here in the last 25 minutes.
His pick to click?
Yeah, no, just if somebody comes out to the ballpark here to spring training, if they make their way down from Seattle, give me one name that they should absolutely make sure they watch for a few minutes.
I'm going to cheat here.
Okay.
You got to go to the backfields and see Durangelo St. pitch if he's thrown on the backfields. I walked down there the other day. I actually missed the first inning of our first Cactus League game because I wanted to go see it. It is so damn cool to go watch him do it. So the way it was set up for the live VP, and obviously we can't control game conditions, but the way it was set up for the live VP, he's going to pitch to 2 batters right-handed, then 1 batter left-handed, and then 2 batters right-handed and 1 batter left-handed. And obviously we set it up so he's only facing lefties left-handed because he would never do it the other way in a game in all likelihood. So Ty Pete stepped in there. Ty Pete was the 3rd batter of the game. Ty Pete is left-handed, for those who don't know, and he pitched to Ty Pete left-handed. He, has that at bat. He pitches to the next hitter right-handed, and then Ty Pete is the next hitter again because it's just a live BP. So Ty Pete steps back in, again, 1 batter after he just pitched to him left-handed, and Durangelo flips the glove around and pitches to him right-handed. It was so awesome. It was so cool.
What did Pete say afterwards?
He's like, that was crazy. And also, like, Durangelo's throwing 98 right-handed and 93 left-handed, and it's just, like, who can do that? That is I know Logan Gilbert really wants to try it, and, like, that's where I draw a hard line on experimentation if Logan wants to throw left-handed. But it was so cool. And I think that's the best part for us of spring training is seeing the young kids, seeing them for the first time and getting to know them a little bit, and watching Durangelo and Ryan Sloan, our 2nd-round pick last year, just throw rockets. Obviously, Durangelo with both hands, Ryan with his right hand, was really cool. And if you're a fan and you come down here, you get a chance to walk to the backfields and see those guys on a day when they're pitching, I would definitely encourage it because in Durangelo's case, there's literally no one like him.
That's awesome. Cool. Justin Hollander, Executive Vice President and General Manager, and now we know exactly what that means. So thanks for sitting down with us. Hopefully we'll do it again.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that was Justin Hollander. We'll be right back from spring training. Brock and Salk, Sales Sports on 710.
4 down territory, going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
What part of football has changed, and do you like it?
2-point conversions. Like, we are chasing points. The game has changed. 2-point conversions and 4th downs. So we're seeing coaches dive into the data like a lot of people do with baseball. And I like it, and it is weird at the same time because I'm not used to seeing these 4th down conversions or attempts and these 2-point conversions.
4 down territory, every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
Guys, I'll never forget the first time I saw somebody get results at our clinic. He was an 81-year-old man who hadn't been intimate with his wife in over 8 years. Viagra had stopped working for him, and he was desperate for help. After several treatments, he walked into my office and told me he couldn't believe the results. Needless to say, this was a very happy man. This man made me a believer in what we do. He had taken pills for years, but he had never fixed the problem. When he came to us, we fixed the problem. Our treatment does what no pill can do. So give West Coast Men's Health a call today. Speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. Change your life today, like the thousands of men who already have.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Eric Johnson here. I covered a lot of accidents over the past 30 years or so, but I never got to say much about what to do after a crash. Be honest, do you know what evidence to collect, what pictures to take, what documents to request, or what you shouldn't say to your insurance company? The Washington Accident Book Series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the roads throw at them. Know your rights and how to avoid common mistakes after an accident by getting your free copy at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
So here's the deal with Mariners season ticket memberships. You've got two great options. With a Flex membership, you have the freedom to pick your seats, games, and number of tickets whenever you want. Or, if you like knowing where you're sitting all season long, go with a reserved membership and lock in your seats from day one. Both plans get you access to exclusive pre-sales, year-round discounts, special event invites, and more. Check it out at mariners.com/25.
Now Raleigh wins it in the 10th inning for the Mariners.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, $149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. What? They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, cause this deal's for a limited time. $149.
For tax prep that's $149 or less, hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit Rocket.com or call 800-4ROCKET.
This ESPN Radio Black History Month moment is brought to you by National University.
Jackie Robinson began his career with the Brooklyn Dodgers on April 15, 1947. He was the first African-American player in Major League Baseball, winner of the first Rookie of the Year award. He was named MVP 2 years later. He was elected into the Hall of Fame in 1962. In April of 1997, his number was retired permanently throughout Major League Baseball.
Built for the dreamers and doers and history makers. Start your journey at nu.edu.
Want a golf course quality lawn? It's easier and more affordable than you think with TruGreen. As the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour, TruGreen brings pro-level expertise straight to your yard, so your lawn can look like a fairway. Sign up by March 10th and get 1 free application. Plus, you'll get TruGreen's price match guarantee. If you're not satisfied, TruGreen will revisit your lawn between scheduled visits to make it right. Visit TruGreen.com today to get a free application. Offer ends March 10th. Restrictions apply.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
This hour of the Brock and Salk Show is powered by Star Rentals, preferred supplier to the West's best contractors.
Give me a freaking auto! From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
I don't read the internet, guys.
Take the bull by the hands.
And Brooke Rohr, you are it. And Brooke, you are it.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
All right, we'll continue on its spring training coverage from Brock and Salk Seattle Sports on 710seattlesports.com. Bryce Miller's going to join us today. Maybe some other friends. Logan Gilbert's going to stop by tomorrow. We'll see how it goes, Brock. We got a lot going on here today and a lot of moving pieces. I do want to kind of start here because I spent some time last night really thinking about the point you made yesterday. And I think it was a really good one. You know how sometimes you'll say things and it'll kind of keep rattling around in the old brain. And as I thought about it, I think that you were onto something with the philosophy here. If you go back to my column a couple days or yesterday and saying essentially what is the offensive philosophy, and in my view, it sure looks like it is going old school in terms of more small ball and playing for one run rather than for the big inning and kind of going against a lot of the analytical thought of the last 25 years. But I thought you made a really good point that maybe it's more about giving the players freedom than it is about trying to be old school.
Yeah, and just trying to take in some of the intel we get, which is great. I mean, we are just steps right outside the cafeteria, right? We're right in front of the mounds, and I mean, we're just right here access-wise. And, you get an opportunity to hear things. And when Shannon said to us yesterday, the biggest difference between this camp and she's already feeling it is, okay, a little less meetings, a little more time together, a little more freedom, a little more, hey, connective instead of just go. And then you hear further from Justin Hollander. We played this morning saying we really didn't go away from data-driven. It was just a little more aggressive. It was, guys having the freedom and the freedom to bunt and the freedom to kind of express their skill sets in that way rather than this is what we're going to do.
And it is maybe fitting with just some of the changes that you see here physically right in front of us. There's these 6 Adirondack chairs around a couple of tables, kind of a lounge area for players. They redid the whole hitting cage, which is great, and did a really nice job with it.
And it also has
one of the things they added is a whole lounge area in and around. So there is a little bit more of a casual element to it. I don't know, how that will end up playing out. I mean, we could very well be sitting here in a year or so saying, remember when they went all casual and then they got all lackadaisical and started making errors one thing you could say about the Scott Service era is they generally did not make a lot of mental errors. And maybe that did come from some
sense of urgency and attention to detail.
So maybe it goes the other way, or maybe this is the thing that we just don't know.
You don't know.
What I do think makes sense is that generally in sports, when teams change direction at the top with leadership, they tend to do the opposite of what they just had. Hockey is famous for this. You got a disciplinarian, and then you get a player's coach, and then you get a disciplinarian.
The
then
pendulum
you get
just swings.
Absolutely. Football, I think, used to be more like that before all the disciplinarians went away. You can't do that anymore in baseball because the manager doesn't have that kind of juice. The guys all have guaranteed contracts. It felt like maybe that sea change shift was analytical. Maybe it's just in terms of that I don't know what the right word is for it, but style, freedom and style, feel. Yeah, maybe all of those.
Just empowering those things. When I was with the Seahawks and I got drafted there, it was interesting. Bob Whitsitt, I believe, was the GM originally, and then Bob Ferguson came in, and then ultimately, originally it was Mike Holmgren. And when Whitsitt came in, the pictures went down. It just became white walls. He just did not want any of that stuff. And, you're here to kind of work and grind, and this is not a home. This is not a place of convenience. This is a place of work. And, man, then Todd Lewicki.
That makes sense because people love work.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, everybody. Who doesn't love work?
And then all of a sudden, Lewicki hires Pete Carroll, and the place is like, no. we're doing this.
Right.
We're creating lounges. We want guys here.
Right.
Jed Fish, one of the things that he did when he came in is he just blew up this beautiful like team room. Like, nope, sorry, we'll go up to the team room up the old tunnel.
Right.
And I want this to be a place of meeting and total lounge for the guys.
It is funny how physical space will influence
our studio. What did our studio do?
I was just about to say when our second program director came in 2011, he changed everything. He changed the entire setup of the way we operated and said, hey, you guys are all going to share space.
Yep.
And there was some pushback right at the beginning, and he said, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
I want you guys in and around each other, and I think it has helped build a camaraderie in our building that not every sports station in the world has. When I went back to Boston, I was struck that year that each of the shows had their own office.
Their pod, yeah.
And there were walls everywhere.
Right.
And it just, I felt
isolated
everyone.
Yeah.
Now, they had their own problems too, but I always felt like that was a big part of it, is that you couldn't be around each other.
Yep. And I think this is just kind of that, build as much connective tissue as you can in as many spots as you can.
Hey.
And you want guys here.
I'll tell you what, they keep hitting the way they did the last couple of days.
Let's start the season.
And you can put a lounge everywhere.
Season.
Put lounges all over T-Mobile Park, all over Seattle, all over the Peoria Sports Complex, all over Tacoma, all over Everett. Lounge it up, baby, because if you keep knocking out 12, 11 runs a game, I think we could put lounges everywhere, and everyone will be very happy in Seattle. We'll tell you all the details of that. 3 guys went deep, including one big old monster. It's next on Brock and Salk.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
We are now speaking with the architect of your Seattle Seahawks.
How we doing, football fans? With Seahawks President of Football Operations and General Manager John Schneider.
My job is to do what's best for the Seattle Seahawks organization. I have to keep wrapping my mind around that and trying to communicate effectively.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
What's the standard the Seahawks defense needs to be held to under Mike McDonald?
The John Schneider Show.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
Hey, Mike Salk here, and one of the best parts of being down here in Arizona is seeing just how physically impressive these pro athletes are, man. When you're up close, you realize they're coming off a great offseason, something to prove, and they're in peak physical shape. Now, for the rest of us, the regular folk, we don't have necessarily the resources and time to devote to diet and exercise, but what if I told you that you could be in some of the best shape of your life, just like some of these guys, and it only takes 45 days? That's right. You can lose essentially a pound a day with the help of Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Worked for me. Lost 10 pounds in the first week. Lost 35 pounds total in just 8 weeks. Felt healthy, eating great, delicious, fresh meals. No pills, no injections. You don't even really need to exercise. So find out if you could do it. I know you can. A 15-minute call is all it's going to take. No obligation. Schedule it right now at eastsideweightlossklinik.com. You got nothing to lose other than a ton of weight. Go to eastsideweightlossklinik.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
When you're in the thick of a project, Harbor Freight is the place that always comes in handy. Whether you're picking up something for your pickup truck or a power tool for your project, at Harbor Freight, your dollar always goes further. And these days, when everything seems to cost more, you can take pride in knowing that you get hard-working tools at hard-working prices. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? What if you could create more impact in every decision? What if you had a partner as visionary as you are? With Bank of America, you get access to our trusted experts, real-time insights, and digital tools. So whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, you're backed by business solutions to make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is for you too. Stubborn fat is really hard to get rid of, and then there's all those gimmicky lasers, fat freezing methods, and prescriptions. Imagine a simple solution that takes just one day and provides immediate noticeable results. Introducing ProSculpt. ProSculpt uses air-assisted technology that's safe and gentle yet powerful, delivering instant fat-reducing and skin-tightening results. Performed by board-certified plastic surgeons while fully awake, ProSculpt contours your body with minimal downtime. It's designed to target those problem areas: waistline, neck, face, arms, thighs. ProSculpt gently removes unwanted fat and tightens loose skin with FDA-cleared plasma technology, all in a simple, guaranteed one-day procedure. ProSculpt is one and done. Schedule your free consultation at prosculpt.com for $250 off. For powerful permanent fat removal and skin tightening that works for ladies and you men, it's prosculpt.com.
This is Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. For over 30 years, Big Trees has been helping homeowners and businesses move trees with advanced equipment and a professional and proven transplant process. Need a tree moved on your property or off-site? Trust the experts at Big Trees. Learn more about our transplanting process at bigtreesupply.com.
Beauty, privacy, instantly. Big Trees.
Hey, Bill! Got a leak? Need heat? Call Southwest today.
Southwest Plumbing, the one to call.
Calling all pickleballers, Champions of Change and Safeway announced a multi-city pickleball tournament, including celebrity games with Seahawk legends Doug Baldwin, Mike Bennett, Cliff Averill, and more. In collaboration, Nourishing Champions campaign will be raising awareness and accepting donations to provide nutritious foods for student athletes in under-resourced high schools. You can help by donating at your local Safeway checkout. Open to all. The tournaments are in Seattle, Lacey, and Spokane. Register today at championsofchangefoundation.org/pickleball.
Swedish Cyberknife has been serving the Pacific Northwest with innovative and compassionate care since 2006. Being able to precisely and accurately deliver radiation makes a difference in terms of controlling cancer and reducing the risk of side effects. The treatment is completed in only 5 sessions, lasting less than an hour. Patient surveys consistently give Swedish Cyberknife the highest of rankings. Swedish.org/cyberknife prostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
We were searching, Brock, far and wide, looking for those Mariner bats, and then they arrived. The last 2 days, they just showed up.
The Louisville Sluggers right down the hall.
That must have been it. The Louisville Sluggers got here, and they started slugging first. It was 11 runs on 17 hits at home, and then yesterday, 13 hits leading to 12 more runs. Hogan Windish hit a home run. Laz Montez, the monster, he is a really large human, hit a really, really big home run to center field. And you know who else connected? Old friend Mitch Haniger went deep.
Swinging a drive deep to left field, out to the scoreboard, and goodbye baseball to the top of the berm in left. Mitch Haniger with his first home run of the spring, and that was a tee shot to the base of the video board out there that has his picture up there. Haniger with a blast, and the Mariners lead the Brewers 1-0 here in the top half of the second. That was a no-doubter.
You know, it was a year ago at this time, Salk. Every morning, you know, we saw not only the three-point hoop and the basket and all that stuff, we also saw Mitch on that sled over there, kind of getting the body going every morning. I've not seen him. I think I saw him running the bases during some BP yesterday.
I wonder if there's maybe a different approach to trying to stay fresh as he gets older. It's not like he's not going to be in great shape. I mean, you know Mitch, he's a worker. So, yeah, that's a good point. Haven't seen him out here nonstop on the sled grinding. And maybe he is trying to just take some of that load off of it. You know who is here first every day, or very early every day is Julio. Every day we're here. Julio walks in. I'm not saying he's the first to arrive, but there sure aren't many here before. Maybe the catchers and a couple others. He is one of the first here every day. Logan Gilbert yesterday, good. I mean, maybe not his best outing, but he was good. Struck out the side in the first, came out after giving up a couple of runners in the second inning. Look, again, it's interesting that he pitched yesterday and Luis Castillo will go in the next game. What does that mean for being the opening day starter? Logan was asked about it here in Cut 5, and he gave a legitimate, honest answer.
Yeah, it'd be awesome if it happened, but I mean, we have 5 opening day starters, so I don't think anybody should get their feelings hurt because on different teams we'd probably all start the first day. So it's a huge honor to whoever gets it. Obviously, Castillo being the veteran is very, very deserving, but every time I'm out there in spring, I feel like I got to prove myself all over again, so don't want to get ahead of myself.
That's a perfect answer.
It is, and it's nice of him to say that, but it's him or Luis. George is not going to be the opening day starter.
I think what he's saying is
Miller.
they could be on other rosters.
Yeah. They're 5 immensely talented guys, but when it comes to this decision, it really is going to only be those 2. And I think this the next 3-4 weeks will be a little telling. Your guy, Luis, we're going to go watch him today.
I'm excited. Yeah, we're there taking on the Dodgers rather, so we'll go watch
the
that.
world champion Dodgers.
Tough outings for Colin Snyder, and apparently they had somebody named Charles Bylinson on the mound. He did not fare particularly well, and they'll get back to it today.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Easier to remember, Trevor Gott, who was here just 2 years ago. And when he was signed, I mean, they gave him $1 million, $1.5 million, and he was supposed to be a reliever that would compete, and he made the opening day roster.
Is he one of those top of the strike zone guys?
It's a good question. I don't remember that well enough.
Okay.
I know he's a strikeout guy. I mean, he was striking out more than 9 per 9. I mean, like, he was more than a strikeout per inning kind of a pitcher. Had some command problems, control problems, maybe a couple too many walks. Anyway, he ended up going to the Mets when they were basically ditching the money on Chris Flexen. The Mets took him in order to take on the money for Flexen. The Mariners did not get a lot back. I'm not sure what's happened to Zach Muckenhern. Maybe the Marine Layer guys
You had
know.
to look it up.
Zach Muckenhern.
Tell me you looked that up.
No, you don't know? Okay, nobody seems to know where Zach Muckenhern went. So we'll see what Trevor Gott does. He gets a minor league deal, Brock, and he'll be here this season.
How many guys did Hollander tell us yesterday are in that kind of competitive? Was it up to 20?
I think there's a lot of guys.
There are
a lot of guys that are battling for it. There's no doubt. Speaking of Hollander, we asked him about Julio, and we'll talk a little bit more about Julio later this morning. Here's what he said about Julio's development.
I think the first place I'd start is probably the best question to ask Julio himself. He knows himself better than anybody. From my perspective, I think he's in a great spot. I think it takes a while for guys to come in the league and figure out their own identity, what they're good at, what they're trying to accomplish, develop plans and routines that make sense for them, because what may work for me may not work for you, and what may work for one player that he views from across the clubhouse or across the dugout may not work for him. It may not work for his body. It may not work for his mind. And I think he continues to take steps forward and developing his own identity, both on the field in terms of what he can do in the batter's box, what he does defensively, and in the clubhouse, cultivating his own way of leading, his own way of galvanizing the group of players around him. Everybody knows he's the most talented guy on the field. There's no question about that. I think he has taken real steps forward second half of last year and this offseason and now into spring training in terms of how he's leading, how he's preparing himself to go max out his tools every day.
Do you know what I like, Salk? And I've always liked, and I especially like it on a football field, and you saw it yesterday here. I like good on good. Can we get ones on ones? I don't want ones on twos or ones on threes. I don't want ones on the scout team.
We're going to dig into that in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, we got good on good yesterday.
You sure did.
And it was Mooney, and it was Julio, and it was 2 of the most talented. If Julio's the most talented positional player here, well, the guy with right now, with Brash kind of banged up, and even with Luis and Logan, the starters, the guy with a couple pitches that nobody else has is Mr. Munoz. And those 2 went toe-to-toe and head-to-head yesterday.
Yeah, maybe just influenced by the best on best hockey last week. I don't know.
Maybe.
But, you got an opportunity to see it. We're going to discuss that more here in about 10 minutes.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
I don't even think I should tell the story. I really like letting this Grant Cohn guy
I got to
tell
listen to
the
this
story.
again.
You're going to have to listen to it 4 times.
No,
today,
I'm not
so
going to listen to it 4
you
times.
You
I will
are,
not.
and you're going to like it.
I'll talk over it. It's
you
a bit
will
obnoxious.
like it.
He can afford first class, but I said coach.
Niners blogger Grant Cohn telling his very bizarre plane story that involves Pete Carroll, Mike McDonald, and John Schneider all on their way to Indy.
So I'm walking through first class, and I see Seattle Seahawks head coach Mike McDonald and Seattle Seahawks general manager John Schneider just sitting next to each other casually, going to the combine like me. So I go to my seat and coach. I have the money, but I just wanted to go coach this time. And I'm sitting there, we take off. And I notice this shorter, older gentleman with really white hair walking next to me. And he's trying to go to the bathroom, but the flight attendants are passing out beverages. So they tell him, sir, you're gonna have to go back to your seat until we're done. It was Pete Carroll, flying coach. Apparently the Raiders don't quite have the funds to send him first class like the Seahawks do with their personnel. So Pete Carroll waited, as he was told, and then went back to first class, not to use the restroom really, but to just stand in first class without a first class ticket. And he did that for an hour. He was talking to Mike McDonald and John Schneider about God knows what. So Pete Carroll did that for about an hour, and clearly the flight attendants knew who he was because they didn't bother him. If I had tried to do that, they would have tased me.
You have to admit, he's pretty funny. He told it in a funny way.
He does. It tells it in a great way. I don't know about describing Pete as a shorter, older gentleman with white hair.
He's got great lettuce. He's
Come
a
on.
good-looking man.
I never thought Pete was short.
No.
He's sort of describing him like Blue from Old School or something. Like, I don't think that's an accurate description of Pete.
I don't think so.
All right, that's everything you need to know. Kraken back in action tonight. Speaking of hockey, Brock, and I did get an answer from Lyle on my friend Muckenhern.
Muckenhern?
Here's what we've learned. I just looked into it. Muckenhern has been in Indie Ball and in the Mexican League after leaving the Mets. So things have not fared all that well for Mr. Muckenhern, unfortunately. All right. Coming up next, I think Bryce Miller's going to join us later. I think that's going to be at 8:30 this morning.
Okay.
Team looks like they've got a team meeting in a couple of minutes, so we will be guestless for the next few, which is fine because we do want to talk about what we saw yesterday. Andres Munoz is walking in right now. He faced Julio yesterday in a battle for the ages. We're going to discuss it next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
I'm at the gym. I be low-key at the gym. I be hat on, hoodied on, headphones in.
So no one recognizes you? Are you a celebrity?
No.
Stop. You got sunglasses on, too?
I just get in my zone and block everybody out. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But I couldn't block this out.
Okay.
One day, I'm looking at this guy, and he's wearing a Kobe jersey. So I'm really feeling him. I go, that's my guy right there. He doesn't even know. Then I walk in today, and my man has on a Larry Bird jersey. And I stopped my workout. I went over him. I go, hey, bro. Sir. I go, hey, you can't do that.
Streaming on your smart speaker.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are gonna need a bigger cake.
Now through March 4th, get fast, reliable Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires PayPal bill and auto-pay stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit Rocket.com or call 800-4ROCKET.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
It's the granddaddy of them all, the Seattle RV Show, March 6th through 9 at Lumen Field Event Center. Hundreds of new models, over 1,000 floor plan options from over 50 manufacturers. It's your best chance to save all year. Tickets at SeattleRVShow.com, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. Our local tax expert Greg Nunn wants taxpayers to know the IRS is now going after older cases very aggressively. If you received Form CP-504 from the IRS, do not ignore it. Be proactive and resolve your situation with Greg Nunn, N-U-N-N, None Better Tax Resolution.
1877 Cars for Kids. K-A-R-S, Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
It's time to go all in at Toyota of Kirkland. All in on the largest savings opportunities on the largest inventory of Tacomas, Tundras, Prius, and the BZ4X. The incredible team at Toyota of Kirkland is all in on your car buying experience. They'll set you up with a test drive and you can take that car home on the same day. Come on down to Toyota of Kirkland and get all in on the best deals with the best inventory. Check out their wonderful showroom today or go all in online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
O'Brien.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a colonial with high ceilings, hardwood floors, and a peaceful neighborhood. And you found it. Now, every Saturday at 6 a.m., you get to wake to the sound of your neighbor's leaf blower. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
No matter how old you get, you always remember that one great teacher. Hi, this is Rick Riz, inviting you to join WSECU in celebrating Teacher of the Week. Great teachers inspire. Nominate a teacher you feel has changed a life in our community. This year, we're going to honor 24 great teachers with grants of $500, courtesy of WSECU, the credit union for Washington. Teachers are the real MVPs. Nominate an exceptional teacher now at mynorthwest.com/teacher.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
How cool is it when other players appreciate what their teammates are doing? And you played in the NFL, obviously, Brock, and major college football. And
yeah,
when other teammates recognize the incredible.
When game recognizes game.
Yeah, a little bit. But you can see it. You see it. I think the two.
Chuckling at.
I'm trying to figure the three sports I feel like I see it most in. Well, maybe it's all of them in various ways. But in hockey, you'll see it when guys just do something ridiculous and the whole team just sort of explodes.
Mm-hmm.
In basketball, when you break someone's ankles, and I mean, not that they do that anymore. Now they just shoot threes.
Yeah.
But back in the day when guys would actually break people's ankles and
Mm-hmm.
crossover and stuff, you would see the reaction right on the bench and guys would sort of explode or whatever. I feel like you see it as much in baseball and golf as anything else.
I think those two are the most.
They really recognize the finite little details that make the shot or make the swing or make the pitch or whatever. And I mean, I think that's one of the cool things of the whole TGL Tiger Golf League thing is seeing those interactions. I've told the story a million times on this show about watching the guys in the clubhouse explode watching Joe Mauer get a hit to right field off of Justin Verlander. And I'm like, yeah, it's just a little double. They're like, God, you're an idiot. You don't know anything. The way he pulled his hands in on a 98, you can't keep it fair. Like, okay, Jesus, I didn't know. Like, yeah, it's an incredible, incredible play. Well, you get to see it here quite a bit.
You do.
And we heard about the guys all gathered around watching Mooney and throwing his brand new changeup, and Matt Brash saying it was the most incredible pitch you'd ever seen. Well, he was out there throwing another bullpen yesterday. And so the crowd gathers. And I know, Brock, you and Lyle and some others were behind Munoz.
Yes.
What did you see from there?
I got to see his grip, Salk. I got to see I actually could. And changeups are thrown a bunch of different ways, right? Circle change, but he just kind of had the conventional
kind of the palm
almost a palm change. And I mean, there was quite again a bit of a roar when you got a guy with his velocity, arm angle, whatever it is, and that thing just it just disappears.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Well, I will say from my angle, I went the other way. I went behind the catcher and watched with Rick Riz, and I think it was Blake Hunt who was catching him. And it wasn't on the changeup, but on a slider that he threw. I could very clearly hear Blake Hunt just go, "Oh my gosh!" I mean, he was just like shocked by it.
Yes.
And I'm sure I don't know if he's caught him before or not. I mean, he's caught in the major leagues, right? He went to Baltimore and back, but he was just like. Hearing that reaction from the catcher, she's like, man, that is pretty cool. So after all of that, he goes to do, as you said, best on best.
Good on good.
Julio against Munoz in live BP. You and I missed it because we were watching BP on a different field, which was fun, and I don't know if we got quite as much out of it as we would have, but thankfully Lyle went over, and he got to see Julio versus Munoz. So what did you see?
I feel a little bad for Cade Marlowe, I'm not going to lie, because that changeup he threw in the live at-bats came to Marlowe, who's a lefty, and obviously I think that's one of the main points of adding this thing is something to neutralize lefties a bit, and Marlowe looked just totally overmatched.
That's just mean.
I know.
Yeah, poor guy.
I know. But to be fair, he blew a fastball by Julio and got him in the first at-bat, too. So I don't think he threw the changeup to Julio in those live at-bats, but he had his stuff working, and he blew that heater right by Julio.
Did Julio get him the second time?
He did.
Okay, so it's funny because that's Julio basically said he would never face him again. Here is Julio Cut 8 talking about what it was like to face the Mariners closer, Andres Munoz.
I for sure was ready, but I told him when I was leaving, that was the first and last time I will ever face him. He just, he was definitely just that tough. I know I got a good pitch and I drove it, but at the same time, the at-bat before that, it was not comfortable at all.
Yeah, and you didn't even see the changeup.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like Mooney, he's just that guy.
Yep.
He's just that guy. I feel like I always talk to him about that.
Right.
That, how he makes hitters feel, but like now it's the first time I ever experienced it like that.
Yep.
I told him, first and last.
First and last.
Yep. Iron can sharpen iron only so many times, Salk. So, we're not going to keep doing that, but I like that. I don't know. Have we seen that? And I don't want to make too big of a deal out of one pitch. I don't want to make too big a deal out of one live BP. But did we ever see? I don't ever remember seeing Julio and Mooney do that. And
I don't think those two specifically.
And I think Shannon, we'll have Shannon here in about 25 minutes as well. And I think, she wrote about this, and that was her and Adam catching up with Julio after the at-bat. I think it's a way to get more competitive at bats.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has been maybe one of these things, and Lyle, you can weigh in as well. Like, can you get enough at bats to get going? If none of the stuff on the field, as Justin Hollander said, and in these games is really projectable, well, what is? Well, what about going up against one of the best closers in baseball for a couple more at bats and just getting them more of those live bullets?
Well, Dan even talked this morning, and somebody asked him about would guys like Julio consider going down to some of the minor league games during spring training just to get some more real live at-bats in? And Dan didn't give a full-on committed answer to it, but he did say if that's something some of these guys feel like they need and feel like they want to do, we'll go hit them at the top of the lineup every inning for the first 4 or 5 innings so they get an extra 4 or 5 at-bats just so they get ramped up a little bit more.
So I don't remember this specifically, but I do remember it was either last year or 2 years ago. I think it was Munoz, and somebody I'm sure will correct me if I'm wrong, if it was someone else, stepping in to face himself on the traject machine. So if you remember, the traject machine is the thing that perfectly mimics, almost every pitcher in baseball. It's got a hologram, and then the ball comes out of the same slot, and all the same stuff. And I believe it was Munoz.
Well, I believe that someone on the coaching staff told us that that's because he didn't know how good he was.
That's exactly
they
right.
wanted to get his confidence up. And I think Julio, talking to Shannon yesterday, was kind of saying the same. I keep trying to tell him, what he does to batters.
That's the thought I was about. Thank you, Maura. That's
Sorry.
exactly what I was going to say.
Wow,
No,
Maura.
but you're absolutely right. Yes, I think that's why they were. That's why they did it with Munoz then. And it's interesting that Julio had some of the same reaction now of saying like, "Hey, this guy's got to understand just how ridiculous he is."
Yep.
And you know, closers got to have confidence. They've got to be able to bounce back. So it leads to kind of the next part of this conversation, which is, are we starting to experience and see some of that leadership from Julio? And in the conversation yesterday with Justin Hollander, he mentioned Julio leading in his own way. How important is that to you? How important is it for Julio to take Andres Munoz and try to help? Are those things that you need from Julio?
Well, I think a couple years ago, Salk, we spent a lot of time coming off Julio's rookie year and how is he going to handle all of this fanfare. And I think we spent a fair amount of time with Julio, and we'll sit down again with him this week and, you know, leading into Ichiro and all these other guys. But eventually, you've got to figure it out yourself. And I think eventually at year number 4, you know, 4 times around the sun, like you eventually figure out, okay, I'm taking in all this great intel from the kid and from Ichiro and all this wisdom, but then ultimately there does come a point, and I would think this would be about that point, your 4th year. What is he, 23, 24?
He's going to be 24 this year.
Yeah,
right?
where you're just kind of like, you're not a kid anymore. I mean,
No.
you're still abundantly young,
But
and
it's
everything's
not one
ahead
of these
you.
like, oh my God, and he's only 21. Like it's not
Exactly.
that. That's not the case anymore.
No.
He's 24 years old.
That's right.
This is when guys come to the big leagues, and generally he'll be in year 4 as opposed to year 1. This is sort of when a lot of folks debut, 23, 24, right in that range.
Yeah.
But yeah, I here's the thing. I don't know that I need Julio to be a leader. I'm not saying I don't want him to be. I hope he is. That'd be great. If Julio ends up being one of the leaders on the team, that's awesome. I love that he's here early. I love that that's his personality. I love that he's a hard worker. I think those things are leadership and qualities, and that's great for him. I don't need him to be the vocal leader of the team. I don't know that that's always the case in baseball, where the most talented player is necessarily the leader. They have their own version of leadership because they're the best.
Yeah, everyone's looking at you.
Absolutely.
So as you start to throw that word leadership, that is immediately what I think you're leading, because everybody is looking at you and your talent, sometimes in awe. And also, how are you going to continue to get better?
Yeah,
are you growing?
Well, I'm going to get there, because for me, what I need from Julio, and I'm not saying he doesn't do this, I think he does. It's, to me, how you comport yourself. How does he handle himself? I don't need him to be the guy coming over to young players and putting their arm around them, or lighting somebody up in the clubhouse who needs it, or, stepping in to be the enforcer or anything. Don't necessarily need that. He can do it if he wants, but I don't expect that out of Julio. I expect exactly what he's done. Work hard, show that you care, be diligent, be prepared every day, and eventually, and the most important part here is, be the best player on the field.
Produce. Just
be the best player on the field. Do things the right way, which he always does. And then if you lead in the clubhouse at the same time, great, whatever. That'd be cool. But I don't need it. I just need him to be the best player on the field.
Have you, of course you want him to worry about that first, but you've been around a lot of, like, you covered baseball in Boston. Can you think of a lot of stars, like the star player of the team that weren't really?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to me, David Ortiz is an example. He was for a while, maybe not even the best player on that team, still probably Manny. But okay, those two guys, they weren't the leaders of the team. That was Jason Varitek as the captain, as the leader who spoke and kept guys in line. They led by hard work. Ortiz had a personality that was infectious. Manny Ramirez, for all of his oddity, was as hard a worker in the hitting department as anybody. I mean, he was diligent about how much he would hit. And so they weren't, well, Manny was a distraction in his own right. But you get my point. Like, for a while, that really worked. Later, it was Dustin Pedroia, who was really the leader of that team. He was one of the better players, but I don't know that he was the best player. And I think there's plenty of examples elsewhere. Heck, by the end, Derek Jeter was like the worst player on his team, and he was still the captain and the leader and all of that. So I think in baseball, because the clubhouse is large, You don't necessarily have just one leader, kind of like football, where there can be multiple guys who are all sort of part of that leadership.
You kind of have three different ecosystems.
I think
you got
where
a bullpen, you got starting pitchers,
Yep.
you got positional players.
I think where you run into trouble is when your best player is not focused, is not engaged, is a bit of a diva. And we've seen that here. I think there was a time where I think I would have said that about Robinson Cano. Maybe not right at the beginning, but things went awry for Robbie here. And maybe it was, playing for Lloyd and enjoy the journey and all that. I don't know. But I felt like with Robbie and with that group kind of got disengaged in a way that was not helpful for
But
their
on the flip
leadership.
side, Nelson Cruz was that guy, wasn't he?
I think he sort of became that.
Yeah.
But they needed Robbie Cano as their highest paid player to be engaged. They didn't need him to be the vocal leader, but he became, to me, kind of an issue. Well, then he was taking steroids and everything else. But
you know what's funny?
Julio does not do that. I'm not comparing him to Cano at all. Please don't hear me wrong. As long as he's just a hard worker and a great player, that's enough for me.
You know what it is with Julio this year for me? Produce.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, honestly, all the rest of it, the joy, the fun, the charisma, the juice that he
can't help it.
He can't help it. That's who he is. 5 years ago when we were here and he's sitting in the stands as a minor leaguer watching the spring, and he didn't do that like Russell Wilson's show, like, oh, look at me. No, I mean, that's just genuinely who he is. It will all be for him, and largely, too, big moments. When you're up in the ninth, when you're up in the eighth, when the runners are on, you just got to
He's
produce.
had so many chances for those, and we're just waiting for the big Julio
Well, last year
moments.
he had the wrist injury at this time, right? And now he's actively telling people, I want more at-bats. I want to get in there and get more reps. So hopefully that will help with the slower
Gosh, his
start.
start's going to be really important.
I was going to say, just start fast.
Just
Have a
start
good April.
fast.
It's so key.
Yes, because it's not been a good April for even in his unbelievable, phenomenal freshman year.
And I will just keep saying he's got Edgar, and that seemed to work with him. And I'll keep saying what I've been saying all along. This team does not have an offense problem when Julio's hitting. They really don't. I mean, the rest of the lineup can kind of do whatever. If Julio's doing his Julio thing, they don't struggle offensively. They just don't. He is such a force, and he affects the game in so many different ways that when he's hot, they're hot.
Tip of the spear.
Tip of the spear,
Tip of the
baby.
spear.
Tip of the spear. Let's do some Blue 88.
This is Brock and Salk's Blue 88.
Blue 88! Blue 88!
We take you to the field as Brock Ewart breaks down 3 football questions as only he can.
Now here's your hosts, Brock Ewart and Mike Salk.
All right, Brock, our guy, Matt Miller, was getting his pencil sharpened and coming out with his first-round prospects. How many first-round grades, and what did you take from this?
A couple things I took. Number one, you see Matt Miller lately? Lean.
He's very lean. He's lost a lot of weight.
If he went Ozempic.
He got married.
Oh, he did?
So I think that might have something to do with it.
He got really, really lean and mean. So that's number one. This time around the sun for him, he's like, yeah, I got a new look and a new brand. Good for him. Yeah, how many first-round grades? Remember we did this with DJ a couple weeks ago, and DJ will be back on the entire month of April.
12? Is that what DJ had?
That's what he's got, too, Matt Miller. Yep, last year 18, this year 12, but the difference in we're going to keep hearing this, and Matt Miller used the same phrase in his article that DJ did with us, meat and potatoes. So there's 12, but you know what? The next, and most of them compare it back, I think, to a 2016 draft that feels very similar, where, oh my gosh, yeah, there's only 12. Wow, there's not a lot of talent. No, because from like 13 to 50, there is great depth. O-line, D-line, meat and potatoes, guys going to play 10 years, guys are going to get to Pro Bowls, guys going to get to second and third contracts.
So it's a trade-down draft if you can.
Kind of feels that way.
If you can.
Unless you have real need at a position here that has some bulk supply, and that being the interior offensive line in those first 2 or 3 rounds. So, yeah, about 12, and by the way, no quarterbacks. So both Shedeur and Cam did not have a first-round grade in his book. And I think you'll hear a lot of that over the next 6 to 8 weeks leading into the draft, that if these guys were in last year's draft, they would not have superseded any of the 6 that went before. So no QBs, 1 running back in Genty, 1 receiver in Travis Hunter. So it is big people. It is a copycat league. They're going to copycat Philly. There's going to be a lot of big people drafted.
It's so frustrating to me, too, because You don't want to be in the copycat mode. You want to already have some of that stuff so that you're not looking for the same things everybody else is.
Yep.
That's going to drive me crazy. Question number 2. Well, you said Pete and John and Mike McDonald were all on the flight together, Brock. What do you think they were talking about?
I do think they were talking a little bit about just your former employer. That's just human nature.
You think they talk ball?
I think they could have talked a little bit of ball. I honestly believe there is no animus between John Schneider and Pete Carroll. And do you know how rare that is to happen in the NFL as well, or Major League Baseball, or any professional franchise where you have a marriage for 13, 14 years, separate, one gets to stay, one has to go. Usually those are fractured. Usually those are not warm and friendly. Usually one burned a bridge, one undercut the other, one protected their own self-interest. I don't feel that way. I think there was a very Jody, Bert, the whole crew, Chuck, and this was just the direction we're going to go. Like, we need new voice. We need new coaching. And I mean, you don't have that on a public plane. Pete sitting in coach, working his way to first class, sitting back there and coach. And for an hour up there, you don't have that unless there is just kind of real bonds and real friendship. So I'm sure they were talking about higher level NFL stuff. I'm sure there was some talk about ownership. I'm sure I would have loved to have been in 3D and E right behind that conversation.
You just happen to be there.
Just
listen to those three
been
chatting.
a little fly on the wall and listen to all of that banter.
All right, question number 3. Where did you get this, Brock? This is from... was this question sent to you?
It was.
This was a question sent to you on Twitter.
Yes, it was.
Andrew Scudder.
Give Andrew his props.
What's up, Andy? He says, okay, honest question. Can we pay Geno, DK, and still improve the offensive line at the same time? Can
Yes.
we do all 3?
Yes, yes, and yes. If you have enough cash in your budget to do that, yes, yes, and yes. So did you see Geno's tweet yesterday, his kind of sub-tweet?
Yeah, what was that deal? Was that somebody walking away?
Somebody. It was LeBron.
Oh, it was LeBron. Sorry,
Did you open your eyes and put your glasses on every once in a while?
I watched
You
it
guys didn't know
out.
NBA players. You guys made up SGA. Who's LeBron?
I was watching it on my phone outside, so I could
Okay,
barely
fine.
see it.
In the sunshine, there was glare. I
Yes.
get it. Yeah, I think it was Lyle that was like, is there anybody that subtweets more than G. Scott and Geno Smith? I think those two are the greatest subtweeters in the Seattle market. And so I was trying to understand it, and I guess it might have been, I guess he tweeted something about Ron DeSantis and no property taxes, like a bullseye, like boom in Florida. And then he heard the riot act from the people. And so then he took that one down and then had LeBron. I don't know. Who knows what it is? But that was the bottom line Andrew said.
There's always something, though.
There's always a little something. Can you rework Geno's deal? Can you rework DK's deal? And will you have enough resources left to address the offensive line? The answer to that is yes. With the cap going up, now you're going to have to make other moves with Draymond and with Tyler and some other moves to reshape that. But yes, yeah, I don't think there's any issue. And in this draft, as we talked about in question number 1, you could address those needs in the interior of your offensive line with a couple picks, if not 3 picks between round 1 and 4, and then find a way to restructure those deals and actually free up some cap space, because we know whenever you do a new extension, you can always move those dollars and cents around.
That is today's Blue 88. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's possible.
It is. It is. Now, at what cost and what long term and how much, how lengthy will that deal be?
DK keeps showing up on everybody's list of trade guys.
Well, because you sent yesterday, was it you that sent that piece about the receiver in that market?
And we're going to dig into it probably in about an hour.
You know what I did? When you sent those names
I know
of the
none
other,
of them were tremendous.
No,
Yeah.
like not even close.
Like if you were looking for now, T. Higgins is also on that list. He's ahead of all those guys.
Yep.
I just gave you the. This was Bill Barnwell's tier 3, and he sort of did tier 1 were like franchise players. Tier 2 was Pro Bowlers,
Sure.
and T. Higgins was the only one in tier 2.
Yep.
No one in tier 1.
Yep.
Just for wide receivers.
Yep.
And then.
And by the way, this draft
the
of
tier
receivers,
3 group was
yeah, this draft of receivers too scary. Each of the guys, like I saw Tedrow McMillan, twice with Arizona, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete, but straight line speed and just physicality, there's some question marks. Kid out of Missouri, kind of same thing. These are not, if the QBs, there's a massive cliff from the 6 guys last year. It's the same thing with this receiver class. This is not Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze. None of them would be anywhere near those guys. So yeah, just as I've said a few different times, it feels like, and we'll know a little more when the market opens in a couple weeks in the new league year. But it feels at this point.
Yes,
it
but that
feels
could
like
kind of go either way, right? On DK, that could be here's your opportunity to trade him, because people are going to be desperate for a big-time wide receiver.
Yep.
And it could be, well, if you trade him though, what are you going to do to replace him?
That's right.
I would still do it, because I ultimately believe you need to reset and reshape the way your roster is built.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my view, it would still be worth it. I think that I would not want as many resources going towards wide receiver, and I would want to use more resources somewhere else. How that works with the cap, that, I don't know that I necessarily fully understand it.
Yep.
And so if John were here, and maybe he'll say it with Wyman and Bob, this or whatever, he'd be like, yeah, that's stupid. That's actually worse for the cap. It makes, okay. Like, I don't pretend to understand.
Well, I mean, kind of back to Justin Hollander, there is an aspect of this that comes back to wins out the door, wins in the door.
Right.
You're going to make that move, right? You're going to give a starting pitcher away, and you're going to give those wins away. You better have a reciprocal and a known commodity and not an unknown with that. And I think to some degree, a little different because of the
and that's
valuation.
why, for me, it would be trying to do that as an attempt to get someone like Myles Garrett. Right? Like, if I want to pay somebody, I'd rather pay Myles Garrett than a wide receiver.
Yep.
And so, yeah, if I could do it to get the picks, to trade for Garrett, and still affect the O-line, like, now you're talking. That's how you reshape your roster.
But at least
and turn it into something that can really dominate.
Mike, at least this year, unlike some of the previous years, there is an O-line tree.
Good.
That's got some fruit on it. There is in DK an opportunity because of all of these market factors, more opportunity maybe you had last year.
Speaking of the big fellas, Shannon Drayer going to join us next.
Oh,
oh wait, sorry. I did it again.
Salk.
It's coming up on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
There's a Twitter account, I guess, called Mile High Moments, and they found the video of Dave Wyman scoring a touchdown.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
Who needs Elway when you've got Maddox to Wyman?
My pregnant wife at the time, she missed the play because she was going to the bathroom. And I guess my mom went nuts, and my brother was embarrassed.
Is that the one you said you went crazy in the end zone, and you're like,
yeah,
I didn't act like I've been there before or something?
They were like, yeah, act like you've been there before, but I haven't.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
So I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and I would get, the same questions from people about what to do in the case of an accident. Do you need a lawyer? To the point where I decided that I would at least write a book which would answer the common questions that I would receive as a lawyer. Once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases so that we could really teach people about their rights, how to protect them, and how to decide on whether they need a lawyer and what lawyer to hire. I've found in my career that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Jason Rance here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn from None Better Tax Resolution. So, Greg, not all tax resolution companies are the same. There are some that are definitely not local. There are others that don't quite know what they're doing even.
Well, I tell you, these ads that all of us hear, Fresh Start program, they make you feel like, hey, man, I can just easy peasy get my taxes written off. No. And I've had several clients actually come to me after going through that process, and they just get no response after a while. They're passed around from person to person. That doesn't happen at my firm.
You are familiar with the cases that come in. You're working on them.
I'm familiar with every case that comes into our office. And I know what's going on and have the ability to really advise our taxpayers very well on what to do.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn. None Better Tax Resolution, from stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit revivemenshealth.com.
For 70 years, we've been known as the Humane Society of the United States. But as the challenges animals face have grown, so have we. We are now called Humane World for Animals. And if you love animals, you're part of our world. Humane World for Animals. The end of animal cruelty.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Ooh, got a dash light on? The AutoZone free fix finder service can read your check engine, ABS, and other warning lights to help you find the fix. You'll get an easy-to-read report with clear next steps. And we can recommend a trusted local shop if you need one. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free fix finder service with shop referral. Only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Heward and Marcus. Sorry about just Mike Heward. Not exactly Joe Cap there in the pocket.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
One of the highlights, Brock, of every morning here in Peoria is a chance to sit down with our friend Shannon Drayer, our Mariners insider. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning.
Brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply, I should note. Hi, Shannon. What's new? Did you watch Munoz and Julio yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
What did you think?
Video.
I know.
And got the audio from Julio afterwards.
Pretty cool. We played some of the audio.
He
was pretty blown away, huh?
He was blown away, which is funny because we all looked at each other and are we really going to write a second straight Munoz story? Because that was the story, 2 days earlier. And I think there was a lot more to it because it wasn't just, that pitch is incredible. He didn't throw it. He only threw it to the lefties. He's not ready to throw it to righties yet. And he is also kind of, he's trying to temper things down. It's like, we'll see. And these two, I think they were 4 inches and 6 inches of vertical drop, which are still elite, but not quite the 10, which is otherworldly. But it's going to be fun to see. But to see Julio facing Andres Munoz, it's not something you see very often. A player of that caliber stepping in against a pitcher of that caliber. And it was fun to see, and they went back and forth. It's, Andres definitely won round one, and Julio came up and wasn't messing around in round two. Fastball now, and hit it to the fence. But what really jumped out at me about that was the fact that Julio was doing that. We've heard about how they want him to get more at-bats. And to that end, he's out there in the live at-bat facing Andres Munoz and walked back with him afterwards and was talking to him about it. And he gave, Andres, all the credit for everything that he was doing. And then he said, yeah, I do want to get those at-bats. And what better at-bats can anyone get? He said nobody in any other baseball camp is going to get the experience of facing that at this time of the year, rather than just, kind of getting into it. Julio's taken that to heart. He's getting those at-bats. Could see him in some minor league games and, leading off innings and things like that as the spring goes on. But to me, that and then seeing Julio in the clubhouse afterwards, really going up to Andres and reinforcing, look, dude, this is what you look like up there. This is what you look like to me. It was an uncomfortable at-bat for me. And I really love seeing that little bit of leadership there from him as well, reinforcing that with Munoz.
Trying to think of some closers in our lifetime that have that kind of genteel spirit the Mooney has. Most of the closers are kind of fire breathers, not to stereotype all of them, and they all kind of march to their own beat and their own drum. But to your point, is some of that okay, just as Julio is the fourth time around now, right?
I don't know. I'm sort of thinking through all the Mariners closers that have been here. Seawald was obviously, very much of the genteel ilk. I mean, he loved coming in to talk to people and hanging out.
He had an intensity when he came out.
Well, so does Munoz when he's on the mound.
On the mound, yes.
Yeah.
But off the mound, I mean,
Paul was a sweetheart.
David Aardsma was kind of a, just a nice guy who would come hang out. I'm trying to think of Fernando Rodney was good-natured and fun-loving. And
yes, he was.
I mean, crazy in his own way. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like actually they haven't had too many fire breather, super intense, come in here and kill type of closers until they got on the mound.
You know what's really interesting about that is that I do in the big situations on the walk-off interviews, we'll get them coming off of the mound. And one of the things that if it's a new reliever, I kind of ask, hey, how are you afterwards? Because there have been a couple where it's like, nope, I'll catch you in the clubhouse.
You can see the vein pulsating out of their neck.
And they don't let go of it very quickly. Yeah. Andres does, and the difference, and there are guys that can let go of it quickly, but the difference that I get from Andres is that, he's in the moment, he's more of an athlete out there. It isn't all the emotions. It's what did I just do, and I gathered everything at throwing the ball as hard as I possibly could and getting this save for the team.
Was it last year that he was dealing with the leg injury at the beginning of the year that he was coming off of?
Yeah.
Was that him last year or 2 years ago?
I think that was 2 years, and last year was the back that he really dealt with.
But in both seasons, he was dealing with non-arm related injuries.
Yes.
And it sort of jumps out to me when you say he's an athlete, that maybe those two things affect him a little bit more than it might another reliever, because it's not all arm-based. A lot of it is athleticism. And if he doesn't have those kind of problems this year, maybe that's why you're seeing the disgusting stuff right away. Why you're seeing, hey, maybe I'll just start throwing a changeup. What the heck? Because he just feels better athletically.
I would not be surprised in the least bit. And he has a normal off season. He wasn't. I mean, he did have to do different exercise for the back. He's still wearing the brace when he pitches. It's not comfortable. He doesn't like it, but he realizes that helps him. And he's still taking all sorts of therapy on it. But I think it was clear, and when I saw him the first time, you could tell he was, not in the pain or not in the discomfort that he was in last year. So he had a more normal off season.
Are in the last 2 days spring training, these bats just alive? Are we ready to start the season, Shannon? Can we just, the new Dan Wilson effect?
Mitch Haniger here, and now he's hitting home runs in games.
Just watch that path right there.
I've been watching for it. He hasn't been over there.
Well, maybe he's a little sneakier than you think.
Well, I guess what I mean is Brock pointed out he hasn't been over there working the sled and nonstop grinding the physical element of it. Is he kind of taking a little step back from that and trying to maybe save some of that energy this year?
He comes in with the most intense plans and everything that he does. And it changes from year to year. And, he's a couple of years older. And so, you do have to conserve a little bit more, particularly when you've had some injuries in the past. But he's another one like Munoz. And I'd put Luis Castillo in that category as well. When you see them the first time, you're like, man, you just forget what a season can do to a player. They look different at the end. And when they come in after a full off season where they can focus everything on themselves and their health and go at their own pace and build up, it's something that's totally different.
How about that Las Montes home run yesterday?
Oh, my gosh.
What is the deal? I mean, he's one of these guys, right, where the Yordan Alvarez is the obvious comp. You'll hear folks that love him, and then you'll hear Keith Law say things like, I don't know, the bat there may not be enough contact, he can't play any defense. Are we looking at a potential dude, or are we looking at just something so volatile that it's hard to know?
You like what you see. I mean, first of all, he is just by months the third youngest player in this camp of 73. He is just over 20 years old right now.
Wow.
And he is in camp. He's not being called up from the minor leagues. He is in camp. He is carrying himself very well. He is not overwhelmed by anything.
Well, that's because he's bigger than everyone else.
But he has, get to the Munoz
There we
nature.
go.
And, I was
some point it was going to come up.
kind of trying to, and we shouldn't ever do this, is compare him to Julio a little bit. Because they're both big, and they both, and Julio was a little bit more touted prospect, but they also both had kind of the reputation of having that sunny personality and being the guy that lights up the room coming up through the minor leagues, which is you want in that clubhouse. You want that energy in the clubhouse, and he definitely has that. But I think at this point, and I don't know Laz very much at all. I've talked to him a couple of times, say hello. Julio does have an edge to him. There is no question he has, and we did not see that coming up. That is something that, either was kind of a little bit more, we weren't exposed to it, but it's something that you learn. I'm not seeing that from Montas yet. But there is also something about him that I don't think is too hurried. I don't see that he's putting tons of pressure on himself. And what's really encouraging is those 2 walks that he took before the absolute monster moonshot. He's a guy that is understanding that it's not just enough to go up and be the biggest guy and hit the ball the hardest, the furthest, and have the best build on the team and everything else, is that he's also got to be a hitter at the plate, and he has to be good in the field too. And he understands that. And to see it kind of, he said yesterday that he was most pleased with one of the walks because he gave away an at-bat in his last game. And, to take those walks, and he said he scored runs on both of them. I thought pretty mature approach right there.
Well, I'll tell you what we are seeing. I mean, there's just no debate about this. Thick thighs save lives. This is the thickest thighed 73-member spring training we've ever seen
Have
in
we moved
Seattle.
on from the power source?
Yeah. They're still great. I mean, those 2 things are attached, the gluteal maximus to the thighs, but this is thick thighs everywhere. I mean, these are just some dynamic
Who's your
dudes.
thigh monster this year?
Arroyo has got some running back thighs. I mean, seriously. Harry Ford has some absolute
got some thighs. Brian
yes.
Woo's got some thighs.
Woo's got some thighs. Do I need to continue?
Mitch Garver's
What
got some
about Lyle?
thighs.
Lyle's thighs, not bad. He's going to sit down and hide them. Not bad.
He can't hide them when you're wearing shorts that barely come down
2
past
and a
the
half
pockets.
plate
It's
thighs.
hard to,
2 and a half.
really
plate
hard to
thighs.
hide the thighs while you're wearing the Daisy Dukes. All right, Shannon, thank you. We appreciate it. They're very short shorts, Brock, as I'm sure you know. Bye, Shannon.
But we almost got
Yeah,
there.
almost made it. Kevin Seitzer is going to join us coming up at 8:30 this morning. Looking forward to talking to the Mariners new hitting coach, and understanding this new philosophy and how he fits into it. We'll do that after everything you need to know next.
Seattle Sports is in Arizona for spring training baseball.
Our goal really is to come out of spring training and to play that consistent brand of baseball from beginning to end.
Go behind the scenes with Brock and Salk as the Seattle Mariners get ready for the 2025 season. All this week from 6 to 10.
What a masterful performance by the big right-hander Logan Gilbert.
And hear every pitch of spring training baseball on Seattle Sports. Streaming on the Seattle Sports app.
Holy smokes.
All right, the weather in Arizona is perfect. My understanding is things are not great this morning in Seattle, with a lot of wind last night, a lot of rain, some power outages, etc. Well, if you've had a problem in your house where it's been drafty and you could feel it, or any issues with the wind, you got to call Crawl Pros and have them come out and check out your attic and your crawl space. Make sure the insulation and everything else is up to snuff, because if not, you may get some help paying for it. Utility companies have big incentives right now to help with the cost of having your home properly insulated, including a once-in-a-lifetime rebate from Puget Sound Energy. PSE customers, if your home was built before 1990, you could qualify to receive a rebate on up to 95% of the cost to properly insulate your crawl space and attic. That's huge. 95%. Do not wait. If you're worried about critters, mold, water damage, insulation issues, or anything else related to your crawl space or attic, make sure you schedule a free corner-to-corner inspection at crawlpros.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is for you too. Stubborn fat is really hard to get rid of, and then there's all those gimmicky lasers, fat freezing methods, and prescriptions. Imagine a simple solution that takes just one day and provides immediate noticeable results. Introducing ProSculpt. ProSculpt uses air-assisted technology that's safe and gentle yet powerful, delivering instant fat-reducing and skin-tightening results. Performed by board-certified plastic surgeons while fully awake, ProSculpt contours your body with minimal downtime. It's designed to target those problem areas: waistline, neck, face, arms, thighs. ProSculpt gently removes unwanted fat and tightens loose skin with FDA-cleared plasma technology, all in a simple, guaranteed one-day procedure. ProSculpt is one and done. Schedule your free consultation at prosculpt.com for $250 off. For powerful permanent fat removal and skin tightening that works for ladies and you men, it's prosculpt.com.
Hi, Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. For over 55 years, you've trusted us for roofing, siding, windows, decking, and gutters. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to schedule a free estimate. State Roofing and Exteriors.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, Buc-ee's has you covered with available financing. For oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance, it's Buc-ee's Complete Auto. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. Has Viagra stopped working for you? Do you hate the side effects? If you've taken Viagra for any length of time, you already know that pills are not the solution to ED. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave therapy creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. No pills, no shots, no surgery. We can also treat Peyronie's disease. Our non-invasive treatment for ED is painless and highly effective. We have treated thousands of men just like you. Stop living with this problem and do something about it. Do yourself a favor, do your partner a favor, and call us today.
Call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com. HSA cards welcome and financing available.
Hey, Bill! Got a leak? Need heat? Call Southwest today.
Southwest Plumbing, the one to call.
After years of wear and tear, Joe had osteoarthritis in his wrists and shoulders.
I've pretty much worked out my whole life. I actually decided I'm going to train for a half Ironman triathlon.
The pain was interfering with every part of his life.
Basically, can't sleep, causing those kind of problems, very limited movement.
Joe had surgery, but it wasn't the fix he was looking for.
The doctor told me, he's like, hey, this is just going to be a partial fix. You're going to eventually need joint replacement.
That's when he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
And they're just getting better. I can basically do full motion. I don't have really any pain.
What kinds of things are you able to do now that you weren't before?
I like to golf, and it definitely has made my golf game not as painful. And sleeping. I'm sleeping better because I don't have that aching at night going on and having to roll over.
So, are you recommending this to others?
Oh, everybody I talk to. Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
I've always said, the car sales in the 1980s and 1990s, earned the rep that we have today. The concerns that consumers have because of what has happened in our industry in the past, they're warranted. It's our job to show them that that's not how business is done anymore, right? It's very different business. It's much more transparent. There's much more information that's available to people. And we're much more customer focused than I think the car industry was, 20, 30 years ago. I'm more focused on providing good customer service and relationships because I think if you take care of people, money will always come. So I think just the philosophy and the focus for us has changed, where I was constantly chasing a paycheck and now I'm just constantly trying to take care of customers and employees because I know if I do that, then my paycheck will take care of itself.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Brock's a bully, man. Brock is bullying the Marine Layer guys, specifically TJ, who doesn't even know as well. Man, you're just a bully. The Mariners have been bullying pitchers the last couple of
good
days,
play.
dude. It's true.
All right, bro.
They go 11 runs on 17 hits 2 days ago, and then yesterday, 12 runs, 13 hits. Man, they're just crushing the ball. Mitch Haniger had a big home run. Hogan Windish had a home run. I like this one cut, too, from the big fella we were just talking about with Shannon. Listen to Las Montes go yard.
The stretch and the pitch, swinging a high fly ball into center field. And deep, Mitchell going back to the 1-8 track to the wall, and this one is gone. Goodbye, baseball. Lazaro Montez with a 3-run home run off the batter's eye in straightaway center field. He pumps his fist around second, points out to the Mariners bullpen. Lazaro Montez with a 3-run drive. Holy smokes, and the Mariners now lead 12-8 over the Brewers. That young man can flat out hit.
One thing that is fun over the course of the week here, and Shannon just alluded to this, and we can all make judgments on this, and we all do it in our own different and unique ways, probably with our different backgrounds. But you do get a feel for how guys carry themselves. And it does take me back to the locker rooms that I was in and fortunate to be in for 6 years in the NFL. And when I have a look at every year this rookie class comes in, or these young guys come in, or these undrafted free agents come in, just how do they assimilate? How do they carry themselves? And for the third youngest guy here, when he walks around, you would not guess that.
No, well, I mean, partly because he's huge, but also because of the confidence he walks with. Dan Wilson impressed with what he saw yesterday. Cut 6. Here's the skipper on the youngster.
I mean, he is so strong, and I think coming off his bat, I thought it had a chance right away, but really happy for him. What a great moment for him to get that first one here in one of these spring training games, and you know, he's a guy with a lot of personality, a lot of life, and lots of smiles after that one.
Cool. I love that. Logan Gilbert, good. Maybe not his best outing, but good yesterday. Struck out the side in the first. A couple of base runners that came around to score in the second inning. Colin Snyder did not have his best, nor did somebody named Charles Bylinson. Anyway, they'll be taking on the Dodgers today, Brock, and we'll get to see Luis Castillo, the Rock, making his.
You've been to there? You've been to Camelback?
Oh, yeah, it's nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Good.
it's nice.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
They made a little roster move yesterday. They added in a minor league pitcher who was here before, Trevor Gott. You may remember they had signed him in 2023, pitched in, I think it's 30 games with the Mariners that year. Yeah, he wasn't bad. He was pretty good. He strikes out a lot of guys. He didn't have his best season, but he is a swing and miss kind of dude. And then they traded him as part of the Chris Flexen deal to the Mets. They got back Zach Muckenherm, who's gone on to do exactly nothing.
No. He's in the Indie League and the Mexican League.
He's
Watch
doing
your
a lot in
mouth.
the Mexican League these days. Zach, I don't
You
know.
go play in those leagues.
I should apologize to the
Thanks.
Muckenherm family.
Yes.
Anyway, bringing back Gott may pay dividends. That's exactly the kind of move you'd like to see, and have him back here and see if he can make something happen. We are talking a lot about these young players, and maybe that's Las Montez, maybe it's Cole Young, maybe it's Colt Emerson or Ben Williamson. Justin Hollander, Mariners GM, joining us yesterday, cut 12, talked through what that means to let these guys run with it.
I think it means something different for every player. They tell you when they're ready. We can sit around all winter and say, well, maybe he'll be ready in April, or maybe it'll be June. Ultimately, they tell you. In spring training, it's a little harder to figure out sometimes, just because nothing that happens on the field here is that predictive of anything. Once you get into the regular season, the players tell you. Julio told us in 22. I'm absolutely ready to go. I'm ready to go from a talent perspective. I'm ready to go from a skills perspective. And I'm ready to go from a maturity perspective. I just don't think it's super productive to put limits on young players, particularly the ultra-talented ones. They'll push people out of the way when they're ready.
So who will that be? Who will be in this camp? Is somebody going to just kick that door down? I wish Cole Young was healthy. He's been battling a little bit of an arm injury, so that limits him. What we see, as Justin said, it may not be predictive during the games. What about all the stuff we don't see?
Right.
And all that time in the cage and all the analysis that they do and all of the infield and all of the work that goes into that.
He's a tough one, Young, just because he doesn't have the physical build where you're like, okay, this is a dude, and he's going to, like, when you see Colt Emerson, you're like, this guy in a couple of years is going to be a man, right? When you see Las Montes, he's bigger than everyone else here, except for that giant pitcher they found somewhere.
Yeah, 6'8".
That guy's gigantic. Yeah. But, like, those guys stand out physically.
Correct.
I don't know that that's Cole Young's game, right? It's a little more speed. It's a little bit more contact. It's a little bit more hit tool. So I don't know that we'll see it necessarily ourselves. They'll know it, and I'm sure some of the personality and the action behind the scenes will tell a lot of that story.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
You want the story again from the crazy Niners blogger?
No, you could do it in the final hour. You could play one more time in the final hour.
Anyway, this guy Grant Cohn saw Mike McDonald and John Schneider in first class as they were on their way to the combine in Indy.
And this guy Grant Cohn could have paid for first class. He has the money to do it.
He just didn't want it.
But he didn't do it. Yeah, not this time.
Yeah.
Yes.
This time he wanted to go coach.
And
who doesn't?
And he creepily filmed Pete up there with Mike and John, and
then found out that Pete Carroll was in his row and coach. Just poor Pete. Why don't the Raiders pay for first class?
Why do you order DoorDash? As your mom says, save $4 and go pick it up yourself.
Well, yeah, but
yes.
I guess occasionally I'm in the camp with the.
With Mr. Davis,
the Seahawks.
Mr. Davis is saving some dollars for free agents. All right, $300, $400, $500.
How does Pete not get to go first class?
I don't know.
Seriously, that's lame.
How does Pete not fly on a PJ?
Well,
private
nobody
jet.
I mean, John and Pete weren't on or John and Mike weren't on a private jet.
Yeah, take that private jet.
he did during COVID. He did do that podcast with Steve Kerr, and I think it was called Flying Coach. So
He likes flying coach.
No way. He likes flying coach. I'm not buying that for a second. That's everything you need to know. Quarter past every hour here in the Brock and Salk Show. Kraken back in action tonight, by the way. A big win for the junior Kraken Navy team yesterday. A little 2-0 win over the red team.
Oh, that's a rival, right?
Huh? Yeah,
That's a rival?
big rivalry. But Alexa with the shutout.
Is it Hatfield and McCoy? So the families just they hate each other.
Yeah, they hate each other. Those two teams. Yeah, when they get together, throw the
There's no
records out.
commingling of the families. Is
No,
there?
but I think they've secured first place. So I think they get a bye into the semifinals and the playoffs.
Whoa.
We'll see where that goes.
Okay.
Kevin Seitzer is right behind you, Brock, and he is going to join us here at 8:30. Just coming up next. Want to hear from the new Mariner hitting coach? I got to hope that maybe we can get a George Brett story or two out of him because I'm betting there's a few. That's coming up in 5. It's Brock and Salk, Sales Sports on 710.
4 down territory. Going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
What part of football has changed, and do you like it?
2-point conversions. Like, we are chasing points. The game has changed. 2-point conversions and fourth downs. So we're seeing coaches dive into the data like a lot of people do with baseball. And I like it, and it is weird at the same time because I'm not used to seeing these fourth down conversions or attempts and these 2-point conversions.
4 down territory. Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
Well, when we're down here, we're obviously talking a lot about statistics, right? And, well, the state of Washington ranks number 4, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, in the entire United States in a highest concentration of roofers. There's thousands to choose from. Well, with the huge windstorm last night, if you had shingles blowing off or any issues and now you're worried about leaking or anything in your house, well, you got to start narrowing it down to the best roofers possible. First, get rid of anyone who's not GAF Master Elite certified. That's going to take out 97%. And then you get to the Elite 3, and then you start looking for experience. Riverside's got 35 years. How many use the catch-all system to keep your yard and driveway totally clear of debris? How many are family-owned, local roots? And, yeah, how many have the stamp of approval from my household? That's right. Riverside Roofing is the roofing company you can trust in a sea of thousands of competitors. If you've got a problem right now after the big windstorm last night, have them out to your house this week. 425-949-8252. or riversideroofingllc.com.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Something amazing is happening.
Despite a citywide blackout, this company is still up and running. That's because CDW deployed and managed a cost-effective Eaton Trip Light Series Smart Pro UPS to safeguard equipment easily and reliably. Keep the power on and protect your IT equipment from electrical challenges. Trip Light by Eaton and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/triplight.
At the Home Depot, it's our business to support yours. Partner with your go-to source for building your business. We can help you streamline your operations by supplying the whole job from start to finish. Any questions? Our Pro Desk is ready to answer the call with supply sourcing, custom orders, large equipment rentals, and more. Elevate your efficiency and take on more projects with the partner you can trust. The Home Depot, how pros get more done.
The Goose Pub and Eatery supports all uniformed personnel and healthcare providers working hard to keep us safe. These heroic men and women spend long hours away from home, protecting our freedom and providing critical medical care. Please thank them for their many sacrifices and putting their lives on the line for us every day. A heartfelt thank you from the entire team at the Goose Pub and Eatery, your local hangout for great spirits, food, and fun. Family owned since 1982. Online at thegoosepub.com.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
It's time to go all in at Toyota of Kirkland. All in on their commitment to quality, innovation, and durability that makes Toyota of Kirkland certified pre-owned and used vehicles the best in the market. When a product is made better, it lasts longer, and Toyota of Kirkland is the place to be to go all in on your next used vehicle for that reason. With a large inventory of certified pre-owned and used vehicles with incredible savings, why not visit their wonderful staff and beautiful showroom today at Toyota of Kirkland or online at toyotaofkirkland.com and go all in on your next car.
O'Brien. Protein, protein, protein. Everyone is trying to get protein in their diet, but we need fats too. Healthy fat, that is, like the rich, natural peanut and almond butters found at G2G protein bars. Most bars don't have it because, well, most bars aren't real food or refrigerated. Fortunately for you, we aren't most bars. At G2G, you'll find a balanced helping of protein and healthy fat. The fact that they're delicious is just the bonus. They're fast, easy, and perfect for on-the-go families. G2G protein bars. Find them in the refrigerated section at Costco.
Luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. This summer, experience breathtaking Cascade views and world-class dining. Elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost relaxation. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Take your game day experience to the next level with a Mariner Suite. Suites are perfect for birthdays, anniversaries, client meetings, and that company outing you've been trying to plan for months. Enjoy first-class catering, VIP parking, custom setups for 14 to 400 people, and more, all with the help of a dedicated Mariners rep. Suites start at $125 per person, and season ticket members get 15% off. Reserve now at mariners.com/suites.
Munoz strikes out the side, and the ball game is over.
You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Superior Linen Service. 98 years providing logoed apparel, uniforms, floor mats, linens, and more. Give us a call. We answer the phone. Superior Linen Service. Visit suplinen.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I got no notes for this interview, Brock. I got no questions written down. I didn't know it was going to happen, but I'm excited for it. And it's one that we were definitely planning and hoping to do while we were down here. New Mariner hitting coach Kevin Seitzer is with us. Thank you for coming, and welcome to the Seattle Mariners organization.
Well, thanks. I'm ecstatic to be here.
I got a million questions about what you're doing and what this is going to look like, but I've got to first introduce you to people, and I was hoping maybe you could take me back to 1987 for a moment, because I think I've known your name since then. I was young, but when you replaced George Brett at third base, like, it's kind of a thing. And even in Boston, it was like, who is this guy who's going to come in? He's so good, they're going to move George Brett? What was that like in 1987 in Kansas City when they tell you, hey, we're moving George Brett across the diamond for you?
Well, you know, I got called up the year before, September call-up, and, you know, they just come off winning the World Series in 85, and they had like 8 of their starters that were hurt on the DL at the time. And so they were about 18 games out of first. they gave a lot of us young kids an opportunity to play. And fortunately, I was coming off my hottest month of my life in AAA, and they called me up, and I just kept going, and I did really good. And so I ended up making the team in '87 as a rookie, the opening day first baseman, and George was at third. And a couple weeks in, George got hurt, and when he came back, they said, he's too old. The third base taking too big a toll on him. We're going to move him to first, so we're going to put you back at third, where I signed as third baseman. And so I didn't really replace him.
Okay.
I switched positions with him.
Did that make it easier?
It didn't matter. For me, it
He's
was
a
like
legend.
I was just a kid. I looked at it as I'm just a piece here. These are the big dogs around. I'm just going to do what I do and try and help the team in whatever way I can. So I really, since I signed, I got into pro ball, and when I got that first check for $600 a month in rookie ball, I'm like, holy cow, I'm getting paid to play baseball. It's like, it doesn't get any better than this. And so I didn't get caught up in, pressure or anything, because it's like, however far I go. This is just so cool that I get to play baseball and get a check for it. Mm-hmm. So, and my mindset never changed when I got to the big leagues. I was just going to have fun every day and see what happened.
By the way, George Brett too old at that point. Just so you know, 1987, George Brett was 34. Okay,
and but he'd been hurt a lot.
In 1988, the next year he had an 898 OPS. 2 years later at 37, it was 902, and he still had 3 years of productivity after that.
All because he went to first base.
There you go. You saved his career. That was nice of you.
There you go.
What is the best George Brett story? What is the strangest, weirdest, most intense George Brett story?
Oh, goodness. He was unbelievable to play with. And this isn't strange, but for me, it was who George was, and it was the biggest impression that he made on me as a young player. And literally, it was day one that I got called up to the big leagues. And I grew up in a little town in central Illinois, St. Louis Cardinal fan, psychotic Cardinal fan, and I just loved watching these guys play. Well, this was back in the day when you'd hit a ground ball, routine ground ball, and they just jogged to first, just nice and easy. And I'm like, oh, these guys are my legends. That's just so amazing how cool they look, just jogging to first. And I didn't play that way, and it wasn't allowed to play that way when we were coming up through the minors. But I always thought, it's like, if you ever get to the big leagues, that's when you can be cool. That's when you can jog. And so I get there the first day. I'm sitting on the bench. I didn't start the first game when I got called up. And George was up, and literally his first at bat, he hits a one-hopper back to the pitcher. First inning, one-hopper back to the pitcher, and he takes off running as hard as he can stink and run to first, ran through the bag. And I'm sitting there with my mouth hanging open going, you got to be kidding me. I mean, this is the legend right here. And he just went that hard.
Wow.
2 at-bats later, exact same thing. Come back to the mound, did exactly the same thing. It impressed me so much, I go, that's how I'm going to play the rest of my career. Yeah. That's how I played my whole life. I always got complimented because of how hard I played. I said, I ain't going to quit now. I'm going to keep freaking doing it. St. Louis Cardinals didn't play the game the right way. That's what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm. Spoken like a Kansas City Royal.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So why are you here? Why Seattle after, a decade in Atlanta? And I'm sure some other opportunities and options. Why all the way up here in the Pacific Northwest?
Honestly?
Yeah.
No,
dishonestly.
No,
lie to us, please.
No, because you're probably going to go, no way, he's not telling us the truth. But this is the honest truth. After the Braves let me go, I wasn't coming back. It was probably, I don't know, a couple days after I got home after the season, so probably 4 or 5 days after the season ended, and I was like 9. I think there were 9 hitting jobs that opened up, and I was under contract for the next year, so I could work or not work. I was still going to get paid. And I'm like, I don't know what I want to do, because a few years ago I told my wife, I'm so happy here. It's been so great here. I'm going to turn 63 here next month, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. I may,
go fishing.
And I don't know. I love what I do. I have passion for what I do. But starting over in a new place, you have to build trust, relationships, get to know guys. It's a new program. There's new expectations. All front offices are different from an analytics standpoint. And I had the best of all worlds in Atlanta, being able to use everything the way I wanted to use it to present it to the players. And so, I was like, I don't know. Well, after about 3 or 4 days, I'm like, yeah, I still want to work. I still want to work. So literally I started praying every day really hard. 9 hitting jobs open. I don't want to have 5 or 6 interview processes I have to go through. I don't want to, I don't want this to be hard. I want to be where God wants me. I want it to be crystal clear. I want to be guided and directed every step of the day. That's how I've been a Christian for 30 some years. And it's like, that's how I live my life. And so it's like, okay, nothing's changing. We just got a little different situation here. So I'm like, God, you want me to shut her down? Then make it clear. Nobody call. And if you do want me to keep going, make it crystal clear where you want me. Now, no phone calls.
Door closed?
Door closed.
Honeydew
3
list?
weeks. And I tell my wife, I go, you may want to start looking at some trips we're going to start doing. We may have to start traveling. When I leave to go to work, I'm gone 8 months. And then when I come home for 4 months, my wife, she's ready to go on vacation. Well, my vacation is my recliner at my house, and I don't want to leave home. I love home, and it's wonderful. And we got, 4 of our 5 grandkids are 20 minutes away that I don't get to see all during the season.
So who calls you?
So Alex Anthopoulos calls me. It's 3 weeks after. We got hitting coaches getting hired all over the place. Hitting coaches changing teams, going here, more hitting coaches. I'm sitting there, I'm like, and my wife goes, well, you told God to make it clear.
Yeah.
And so that's what he's doing. And Alex calls me and he goes, Seattle just called last night, so be expecting a phone call. I said, okay, thanks. So they called me. They said, you still want to work? Yep, I want to work. So we'd like we'd like to interview you. Yeah. Perfect. So that was a Monday. 2 days later, I had a long interview with Dan and Edgar. And then on Friday, I had another interview with Jerry, Justin, and Andy. And on Monday, Jerry called me and offered me the job.
Awesome.
And one of the big factors, I've been the head guy my whole career. This will be my 17th year as a hitting coach. And they're like, Edgar's going to be the head guy. And I go, perfect. I'm like, this is perfect. Because through the interview process, the conversation, and they're asking me questions, and so I'm just shooting from my heart, and this is who I am, and it's like, if this ain't what you're looking for, this ain't the right fit.
Right.
And so as the interview unfolded, Edgar's making comments, responses to what I'm saying, and I'm like, son of a buck, he thinks exactly the same way I do. And it was like, he's really, gap to gap, stay in the middle of the field, don't try and do too much, don't try and go deep, don't get big. We're just going to let homers happen and not force it, and 2-strike approach and grinding, situational hitting. It's critical, got to do it. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is perfect. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I said, this is the best of all worlds, because he has been with these guys for so long. Even though he only came in at the end of the season, he's been around them for forever.
Yep.
Him and Dan both, and so they know how these guys think and how they tick. And that's the hardest part in our job, coming to a new team, is getting to know what makes them tick and what buttons to push whenever they get out of whack. And so I'm like, this is perfect. And then it's like if he thinks the same way I do, and we're going to talk about adjustments and how to play the game and how to think at the plate and all of this, I'm like, if anybody looks at me weird, I go, I got a Hall of Famer right here that thinks the same way. So let's go ahead and focus on this.
So now you're here talking to Kevin Seitzer, new Mariner hitting coach, and bringing a lot of personality and everything to the table. I can see why you interview well and why you're a relational kind of a coach and bring all of your experience and everything else. So you get here and you know that the offense was problematic last year, really for the last couple of years. You know you're dealing with the hardest park in baseball to hit in, and that's not an opinion. That's essentially been proven now to be factual in a lot of ways. Where do you start? What is the beginning of the process to get this team to have a good offense?
So after I got hired, since when Dan and Edgar took over, during the off season, I would go down and get on my bike, and I would watch a game every day. And I just fast forward to our offense. I wanted to hear the broadcast. I wanted to watch the games. I wanted to see body language. I wanted to see the swing. I wanted to see the focus, the takes, and all of that.
What'd you see?
And I saw a tremendous amount of grinding, great at-bats that last month of the season that was pointed in the right direction, and I could already see Edgar's thumbprint on these guys and the buy-in. Based on conversations I had with him, it was validated in what I saw too. And so, I got excited about that because it's like you could tell that he made an impression on him to simplify some things, and there was some confusion, some apprehension, didn't want to chase, so guys were, in between and careful at the plate, and that's not a mindset that a hitter can have. And so Edgar got him aggressive, got him on the fastball, got him in the middle of the field, and they started getting after it, and you could tell Dan had them playing hard. They're running the bases, they're getting after it, and there was just a lot of good stuff. Then I spent time individually just watching swings and seeing things that I saw, taking down notes. Then we talked to Edgar. I mean, we had lots of conversations over the winter. And then once I get down here, I got a little bit of a mindset as to what I'm expecting to see. And Edgar's filled me in on who they are mentally, emotionally, things like that. And, all hitters got little demons they have to deal with, and to be able to help them get over the hump that way is something that, hitting coaches have to really, really focus on. So, get in the cage with them, and it's like I had conversations with all of them, checked on them a couple of times, nothing big, just get to know them type conversations. How you doing? Did you have a great Christmas? Great. How's your swing feeling? Body feeling good? Yep, good. Okay, I'll see you in spring, because I don't want to talk about any mechanical changes. They sent me some videos of what they looked like. They wanted to know what I thought, and I gave them minimal feedback, because until you get with them eye to eye in that cage, you don't know how they're going to respond to it based on, I'm going off a few swings of soft toss. And so then it's just been a very, very great transition so far. I already feel the openness, the love, the energy, the focus. It's the work, everything. The work ethic's just been through the roof. And so I couldn't be happier. And then it's like you see the new cages that they did, and that's like the Taj Mahal for hitting coaches. It's just beautiful. And the complex is stinking beautiful. We can get all the work done we need, the schedule, the coaches, the people, the front. Everybody's together.
So the biggest piece for us that we talk about so much is Julio. He's the best player on this team. He's the most talented guy on this team. And the last couple of years, there's been inconsistency. He's not quite reached that potential that I think everyone knows he has. personally, I keep looking at it and seeing just the number of pitches he swings at.
Right.
55% last year, which was quite a bit above the major league average of, I think, 47. You were with Acuna, who swings at like 30% of the pitches he sees.
Well,
Albie
Albie swings at 78% of the pitches.
All right, that's the other side of it. What is the approach with the best player on this team, Julio Rodriguez?
It's just going to continue. My focus is continue to build off the path, the direction that Edgar put him on at the end of the season, because he finished really strong. He's been a swing guy, he's been a chase guy, but he's also been a damage guy. And so there's good and the bad. And what I found, all the young kids that came up, the Acuñas, Albies, Rileys, those guys, Michael Harris, that as they came through the system, they had their adjustment issues that they had to make to big league pitching. And when, he came up crashing on the scene, all of a sudden pitchers start making adjustments. Sometimes hitters can try and make the wrong adjustments in order to be ready to hit what they're trying to do to you. And I feel like what Edgar did with him is really get him locked in on a consistent approach and plan to where he was staying in the middle of the field. Guys are going to have chase. That chase comes with this game because of the electric pitching that we see nowadays, the high velos, the late breaking stuff, the strike to ball stuff. Guys, if you get on hitters too much about don't chase, then you're making them late on 90% of the fastballs they're going to see. So the approach, being consistent with the approach, the more you think middle of the field to opposite field, the better you see the ball. So you're able to check off the secondary stuff that are chase pitches more often than you were if you were just in see ball, hit ball, and just swing it, thrown ball.
Last thing for me, and Kevin Seitzer here with us, and it was just one example, so it's very small sample size, but Mike and I were watching yesterday in the cage with one of the groups, and you were right behind, and it looked from my perspective that there's some pretty good communication, just kind of talking through the process. I think we've known here, and getting to experience you for 20 minutes, verbal guy, like to communicate, which is awesome. Are you a talker? Is that kind of this is what I'm going to bring to the table? There is going to be a lot of communication. This isn't a distant hitting coach that you wonder, well, what is a hitting coach even doing? You seem to be pretty proactive.
You have to be proactive, but your timing, the message, the delivery is the key. And when I'm doing an interview for 20 minutes, you guys are asking me questions and I'm talking. Yep. But when I talk to these guys, a part of coaching is, they don't want to hear a full dissertation on something. They just want a nugget to help with this or help with that. And so the conversations a lot of times are me asking questions and then giving them feedback of what I see and a little, try this with your hands, try this with your setup, or whatever it is, a little tweak or adjustment. And usually those conversations are the majority 30 seconds, but sometimes there'll be a 2-minute one when a guy wants to dig in deeper, but it's him asking me my questions. But I learned a really, really cool lesson when I first got into coaching. And it was in staff meetings with front office people, and they'd ask me something about a hitter, and, I'd tell them what I thought. Well, it was in detail, and they asked me what I thought, and I wanted to make sure that they understood exactly what I thought. And after a couple of these meetings, my manager called me in the office. He goes, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. He goes, when they ask you your opinion, he goes, they don't want this. They want this.
Yeah.
And
since we're on radio, you just went from a large,
a foot,
large scale
to an inch. Yeah. Reader's Digest version. Yeah. Just hit them with the fact. And that's something that stuck with me. I never forgot it. When it comes to interviews, that's a different story. But, that stuck with me. And these guys don't want a dissertation either. They just want a nugget. And so, in the land of ADD that we live in right now, they can't handle too much. So you just give them a nugget, see how it adjusts, and then go from there.
3 names that you're excited to work with this year. I know it's everybody, but give me 3 that just jump out to you. Like, I'm psyched to work with this dude.
Well, obviously Julio. Dylan Moore is another one.
So Jay Buhner said the same thing. We talked to Jay Friday, and I know there's a lot of controversy here between Jay Bone Buhner and then Harry Hill Bone. I know there's a big bone fight.
Boneyard.
Yes. Jay said the same thing. We said, give me a pick to click. He's like, oh, it's Dylan Moore, no doubt. Why Dylan Moore?
Because I feel like there's so much untapped in his ability. He was in Atlanta. I think it was 2015. He was in AA, and he was one of those kids that comes over, just for a fill-in and a big league game. And there's probably in all my years as a hitting coach, there's been about 5 kids that when they come over, I get excited to see them. That sucker was a little get-after-it gamer, grinder, fighter when he was just doing his flips in the cage, had a smile on his face, intensity, work ethic, and he just lit my day up, and I told him every time he came over, and then he was gone.
Do you know his story of his first game?
No.
His first was his first inning of his first game.
Ooh,
he made 3 errors at shortstop in his first game.
Oh, my.
It was one of the worst
Third
defense.
base or shortstop?
That's a good question. Now, maybe it was third. You're right.
Yep.
But he made 3 errors. It was
so hard.
It was awful.
It was like, please, Lord, don't hit him the ball again, please.
One of the worst debuts
Been there, done that.
I've ever seen. And I don't think we expected that there was going to be much more Dylan Moore in our future here in Seattle.
Yeah.
Last year he wins a Gold Glove. I mean,
Right.
that was obviously just the worst inning he's ever had because he's a heck of a fielder and obviously a grinder and bounce back from that. Give me one more. Give me one more name. Who else are you enjoying working with?
JP. Yeah, I like the adjustments that he's made this offseason. 2 years ago, had a big year, great numbers, scuffled last year. And I don't want to shortchange anybody else. Polo and Randy. It's Mitch. There's so many. Mitch and Mitch, both of them, and Cal. I mean, I've fallen in love with all of them. It's one of the things. It's like as a hitting coach, you feel like you adopt a whole new family of kids that you just inherited, and it's like this is so cool, and I already feel a connection with all of them, and it couldn't be better.
Well, you know what's great is they all hit. There's going to be a statue of you and Edgar.
Yes. Arm in arm, arms around each other. Yeah, you'll be a Seattle legend.
It'll be Edgar and then Mini-Me.
That's all right. That's all right.
After what we've seen the last few years, I don't know. It might be a giant statue. We would definitely like to do this again. It's a pleasure to meet you, and a lot of fun to hear the strategy and the plan.
Yep.
And the response here, as you might imagine, on our text machine, it was pretty tremendous. So thank you so much, Kevin Seitzer. We'll be right back. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
We are now speaking with the architect of your Seattle Seahawks.
How we doing, football fans?
With Seahawks President of Football Operations and General Manager John Schneider.
My job is to do what's best for the Seattle Seahawks organization. I have to keep wrapping my mind around that and trying to communicate effectively.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
What's the standard the Seahawks defense needs to be held to under Mike McDonald?
The John Schneider Show.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
What is that sound? Ugh, that sounds like a plumbing sound. Luckily, there's a company that fixes all the plumbing sounds across Puget Sound. That's All Sound Plumbing. Puget Sound's plumbing experts. Have a sound? Visit allsoundplumbing.com.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, don't neglect maintenance on your vehicle. Keep it safe. At Bucky's Complete Auto, we have you covered with available financing. For over 50 years, Bucky's Complete Auto has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. There's a Bucky's just about everywhere for oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Bucky's.com for the location near you.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers, believe it. Uline is the hardworking, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
The wait is over. Hey, it's your old pal, the Graz here, inviting you to come celebrate the grand reopening of Jackson Park's driving range. They are throwing a party and everyone is invited. They'll have new range balls, mats and targets, music on the range, and face painting for the kids, so bring the whole family. Free top tracer all weekend long as well, that's right. Free top tracer all weekend long as well. How about free 10-minute lessons after 2 p.m., food specials, and of course plenty to drink. All day Saturday, the grand reopening of Jackson Park's spanking new driving range.
From whiplash to herniated discs, there are a few car accident injuries we've all heard of. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains that even the most common injuries differ from one another.
Pre-existing conditions, health history, beginning of treatment. There are hundreds of factors that make every person and every injury unique. While these variables aid medical treatment, the strongest case recoveries must also take them into account.
Could you explain a little bit more?
Our team at Pendergast Law is obsessed with turning over every stone to differentiate each case. This requires thorough investigation, diligent listening, and relentless research. We never pursue cases with a one-size-fits-all approach. We built our success by treating every injury and every case with the individualized attention our clients need and deserve.
Pendergast Law's individualized approach to even the most common injuries makes the difference in case outcomes. It's another reason why I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the A to Z savings event at AutoZone.
Yeah, happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with the rotors.
Free. Really?
Really, free.
Okay, I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah, how much is that?
Free with 5 quarts of oil.
Free? Really?
Really, free. It's part of the A to Z savings event.
You might as well call it A to free.
At AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Rain. It is like our regional calling card here in the Northwest. And when we get a lot of rain, eventually the earth that our homes are built on, that becomes saturated. And that leads to groundwater intrusion in your crawl space. That's no good. Mike Salk here. And if rain or groundwater is making its way into your crawl space, it can create big problems, including structural damage or toxic mold that ventilates into your home. You don't want any part of it. That's why Crawl Pros can keep your crawl space dry by installing a crawl space drainage system that reroutes all that water back out and away from your home. They'll also inspect the crawl for mold and properly address if there are any signs of danger. Don't take a risk. Do what I did. Have Crawl Pros come out and do a free corner-to-corner inspection and learn if you have any water issues at all. They will go where you don't want to. Certainly where I don't want to. If you're worried about water damage, mold, insulation, critters, issues, or anything else related to your crawl space or attic, call Crawl Pros or visit crawlpros.com to schedule a free inspection. That's crawlpros.com.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
We're going to accuse you of minute.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
Hello!
Did you enjoy Kevin Seitzer?
Oh, not at all.
He was right up your alley.
You think?
I mean, well, certainly the Christian talk was a big part of it, but just the relational, charismatic, you know.
He got me with son of a buck.
Yeah, son of a buck was a unique one. I don't know
we
if I've
think
heard
exactly
that.
alike. Son of a buck.
Maybe that's an Illinois phrase. I don't know. Maybe that's years spent in Missouri.
Yep.
Who knows? But yes, son of a buck was that's a new one. I haven't heard that yet.
Pretty genuine article. Kind of hard not to walk away from those 20 minutes and go, there is no fluff with that guy. The fact that he's been there and done, he was a great player as well.
He's a great player.
I remember, back in the day, in the 80s, that was my heyday of watching baseball and playing wiffle ball in the backyard and, watching the George Bretts and those Royals teams and all those guys. And he was a just spark plug. I mean, he was a really, really good player. And I know, and we kind of joked there at the very end about building him a statue, I know the hitting coaches are a dime a dozen, right? There were 9 jobs open. So how much and how meaningful can a hitting coach on its surface really be if there's that much churn and that much turnover and all of that? And yet it's like anything. When there's the right one that reaches the right guy at the right time of his career, kind of like a quarterback coach, right? He's not the OC, not calling the plays, but that one that just can unlock is a big deal. A big deal. We were talking off the air with him about Jared Kelnick, and I don't think he'd mind sharing any of this, and just trying to unlock him and reach him and grow him. That's what that guy's purpose is.
Yeah, it is interesting because, in general, in the modern game of baseball, the hitting coach is not doing that much specifically for each player. It's not a specific, I'm going to work and sit with each guy and work on because they know that 90% of the guys have their own personal hitting coach that is already doing a lot of that.
Yes.
But it's how can you translate the information, set the vibe, set the mood, set the standard, set the approach, set the philosophy, and communicate it in a way. And you can't help sit in here in our shoes at this exact same spot. Think about the interview we did a year ago with offensive coordinator Brant Brown, telling us that he's a comedian, all the while being as intense as anyone I've ever met. And if part of the goal here this year is to turn things from intense back to relaxed and try to get everyone to just chill out a little bit, not grip the bats so tight. This is definitely a sharp contrast to what we saw a year ago.
You think?
I mean, I would say that those two are about as opposite as any two human beings.
Yeah, when we talked about that pendulum swinging earlier about coaches and everything else,
they are much more opposite than Dan and Scott.
Yes,
Dan and Scott are not the same, but they're both catchers. They're cut from a similar cloth. I don't think they're that different from each other. This guy and Brant Brown
couldn't be more opposite.
Brock, the spectrum is as wide as it could possibly be.
Yep.
I mean, I don't even really know how much more we can spend time talking about it. It was so obvious. It was so gigantic.
You son of a buck.
Well, the difference between him and Brant Brown was gigantic.
Yes.
You're talking about two completely, not just different human beings.
Right.
Brock.
And Mike,
I don't think they shared one thing in common.
No, and in that, by the way, kind of comes back to what we talked about in the first hour of the show, and Shannon alluded to, the difference between Brant Brown, okay, we're going to grind it, but here's the data, here's the at-bat, here's the focus, here's the pitch going to swing out here, and versus a Seitzer that's it is a feel. It's unlocking these guys so they can do what they do, right? I mean, it's kind of been a 2-day theme here, and we'll see over the course of the week who else we talk to and the different players that we're going to have. We're going to have Logan, we're going to have Bryce, and we're going to have Cal, and hopefully Julio, right? And I think you're going to feel that same kind of just take the temperature down.
Yeah. I'm curious how that translates. I know. Because everything in baseball, as with all sports, is trade-offs, right?
Yep.
When you
Whoa. Were you in Larry and Carol's house?
I may have been. Oh, were they fighting about that last night?
Oh, gosh. Did trade-offs come up a lot?
Well, they come up everywhere. Everything in life is all about trade-offs. If you want one thing, you may be sacrificing another. And, when you want, a dogged determination, grind through at bats, control the zone, all of that is a mantra.
Yep.
And you're pretty beholden to the numbers and trying to get those in the right form to the players. There's a lot of advantage to that.
Sure.
It works really well in some places. The Dodgers are probably the best example of that. That's exactly how the Dodgers play. And if the downside of that, though, is if you get too much in your head, obviously it can start to press. You can get, if it doesn't work, then what do you do next? Here you're looking at the opposite, right?
Yep.
Relaxed gives you the ability to kind of just feel and feel good and use, self-2 to just go out there and just hit without worrying too much about it.
Yep.
I'll be curious if they can do that without the downside, which is some lackadaisical
Have you not watched the
play.
last 2 games? Have you not seen the difference?
I think
I
the
kid and I joke.
downside and
Yes.
concern, and hopefully they can avoid it, say what you want about Scott's teams, they didn't make a lot of mental errors.
Yeah.
They didn't screw up on the base
They
paths.
didn't give a lot away.
They did not give away outs.
Yep.
I'm curious to see what happens. We did see some of that at the end of last year.
Yep.
We did see the play with Julio at third base. We did see Victor Robles stealing home in a bizarre situation.
Mm-hmm.
If Leo Rivas wasn't being told to bunt in the third inning, we saw an
Mhm.
incredibly bizarre decision by a young player to bunt early in a game.
But those are the trade-offs of that.
Those are the trade-offs.
Uh-huh.
So what does that look like? And will the aggressiveness be enough to overcome what may be some mental mistakes
That's gonna be fun to
along
watch.
the way?
I think it'll be really
I think it's
fun
gonna
to
be a
watch.
blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like back to my kind of football days, the difference between a football team that has a 300 play playbook in every little detail and every little yard and every little, we're going to be on all these little versus are you serious? I'm just going to throw to the open guy. like, can I just play the game? Can you not over communicate? Can we not do all these checks? Can we just play and let me just, and I was in both, right? It was around lots of different styles and systems, and the proof, as they like to say, will be in the pudding.
Well, and we're going to get to start finding out here in just a couple of weeks. Obviously, the last couple of days, they've been hitting the snot out of the ball in spring training action. That is not meaningful, but it's great to see, and hopefully that's something we'll see a lot more of. What did you make of his 3 players that he would want to, is just enjoying working with? Julio, Dylan Moore, J.P. Crawford.
Kind of surprised about Dylan. Dylan feels a little like Gino, like a little bit like we know the ceiling. The numbers there are not a year sample size. It's 2-3 years. And yet Jay Buhner said the same thing he did, that there's more there. For a guy that, hey, man, don't try to hit home runs. Just, put the ball in play.
They must be seeing something.
Yep.
The thing about Dylan Moore is he can hit home runs, so maybe by not trying to, he'll hit
That's
more
right.
of them. Who the heck knows?
That too, by the way. Buff Dude Report.
Dylan?
Right up
Oh,
there.
yeah, absolutely.
Middle stand.
Oh, absolutely. He's
I got.
always
You know
has
what?
been.
I'm going to bring it back, Brady. I know you've been sitting on that button. Don't play it right now, and I'm not doing it 9:30 today. I'm bringing it back.
You're going to bring back.
I don't think I
Buff
did
Dude
it last
Report.
year nor the year before. It didn't feel right.
No.
That's not new for Dylan, though, right? I mean,
He's always been
Have
Buff
you
Dude
seen
guy.
Dylan Moore?
Oh, great. Is this the new Ken Walker?
Well, I think there's some folks in my family that might actually agree with that take on
Have
Dylan
you
Moore.
seen Dylan Moore?
I think there's a
Maura?
lot of have you seen Dylan Moore around and in a way that
He's a good-looking dude.
Yeah, he's a good-looking chap.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dylan knows.
Avery's into the looks.
Huh?
Avery's kind of hitting that stage.
I mean, since she was 2, yeah. since she was 2 years old. That's been my daughter.
That's
Avery.
awesome.
Yeah, everyone. I won't embarrass her with all the stories. All right. I'll tell you what. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do a little need to know. And I don't know what we're going to do yet at 9:30. We got some stuff to talk through.
Are we going to talk receivers? Are we going to?
You want to do that at 9:30?
We're going to do any football today?
Do we have to? I'm pretty much excited talking baseball all day.
All right,
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what that looks like. Stick around. We'll give you everything you need to know next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Red Sox star Rafael Devers says he's not giving up his third base spot for the newly signed Alex Bregman. What is the real headline?
Real headline, would you like to not give up playing third base in Seattle? They could put together a package that would entice the Red Sox, but Boston just signed Devers to a long extension. I think cooler heads are going to prevail. Bregman is a far better fielder than Devers is at third base. Rafael, my man, you got to be okay with playing DH.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, Brock Ewart here, and I've had a couple sports injuries over the years. Some of them, sure, were in the football field. Some of them were in the weight room. Heck, sometimes the ball just finds me like it did yesterday, and I got this little knot on my knee from a ball that just seemed to find me and cause a little bit of pain. But you don't have to play pro sports nor get hit by an errant foul ball to know what I'm talking about. Painful joints from arthritis, well, they can affect anyone and make it hard to do pretty much anything. Well, that is where my buddy, Dr. Daniel Nelson, in fact, he just texted me this morning, said, I heard he got hit by a ball in the knee. You doing all right? I am, Dr. Dan, and you're a big part of that. And he's helped many through the years over there at Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine in Kirkland. So don't let pain stop you from your quality of life. Consider Dr. Nelson. the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, yes, including stem cell therapy, a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells and platelet-rich plasma to harness your own body's healing potential. So stop living in pain. Give my buddy a call at 425-823-4000, 425-823-4000, or visit DanielNelsonMD.com. That's DanielNelsonMD.com.
Exciting personal news. I happen to be driving a brand new Bronco Sport from Wayscar Ford. The bad news is I spent way longer than I anticipated at the dealership because I truly couldn't decide. It's not my fault. They have so many options at amazing prices. Mark, what gives?
Well, we have a lot of inventory right now, Stacy, and they're priced to sell. Compare our prices to our competitors. Make sure that you check out what rebates that the dealers are putting on their pricing, because you probably won't qualify for a lot of them. The rebates we have online on our prices are ones that everybody qualifies for. We don't play games, there's no gimmicks, and there's absolutely no pressure, and it's all backed up by a 5-day or a 500-mile, 100% money-back guarantee. And our new cars come with a lifetime powertrain coverage. Buy with confidence. We'd love to see you.
So wayscarford.com. Again, those prices are for real, like Mark said. And I'm really glad I did it. It was worth the trip to go out there. Your staff was so incredibly nice, knowledgeable, and accommodating. That's Wayscar Ford in Auburn. Wayscarford.com.
In a sea of thousands of competitors, Riverside Roofing continues to stand out. And guess what? They got openings this winter for your roof project. Call 425-949-8252 or go to riversideroofingllc.com, the roofing company you can trust.
Hey, it's Jason Rance. Our local tax expert Greg Nunn wants taxpayers to know the IRS is now going after older cases very aggressively. If you received Form CP-504 from the IRS, do not ignore it. Be proactive and resolve your situation with Greg Nunn, N-U-N-N, None Better Tax Resolution.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted it close to town with a picture window overlooking a yard. And you found it. Now, when you sit down to dinner, you've got front row seats too. Your neighbor's daily pickleball game. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet.
Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15 bill credit with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without auto pay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge applies. Speeds vary due to factors affecting cellular networks.
Hey, Bill! Got a leak? Need heat? Call Southwest today.
Southwest Plumbing, the one to call.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, don't neglect maintenance on your vehicle. Keep it safe. At Bucky's Complete Auto, we have you covered with available financing. For over 50 years, Bucky's Complete Auto has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. There's a Bucky's just about everywhere for oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Bucky's.com for the location near you.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
For over 113 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington, from the Space Needle in Seattle all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist with any lighting issue, including intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting experts since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, we just met Kevin Seitzer, new Mariner hitting coach, and whatever he's got going is working over the last couple of days because this team is crushing the ball. They've scored 23 runs in the last 2 games.
Yeah,
that'll work. They've done it while
doubles. Mike, they're not trying to do
They've done
too
it while
much.
putting together 29 hits.
Sure.
The first game, they didn't have any home runs. Yesterday, they decided it was time for the long ball. Michael Arroyo with a nice day. Hogan Windish had a home run. Laz Montes had a home run. And cut one, Mitch Haniger made his presence known as well.
Swinging a drive deep to left field, out to the scoreboard, and goodbye baseball to the top of the berm and left. Mitch Haniger with his first home run of the spring. And that was a tee shot to the base of the video board out there that has his picture up there. Haniger with a blast, and the Mariners lead the Brewers 1-0 here in the top half of the second. That was a no-doubter.
When Mitch Haniger turns on the ball, it's still pretty fun to watch, and he gets that ankle turn and everything else. It looks like he's about to break his ankle, but he finds a way, man. Again, look, I don't know that Mitch Haniger's going to bounce back and have a great year. It's been a couple years now since he's really done that. But when you see it with your own eyes, it does become a little easier to imagine than it does when you're just looking at the numbers in the offseason.
Yeah, and I think, in this case, this is not one of those situations where you can say, well, the Mariners just keep rolling out and doing the same things. Nope, they made the change at the end of the year. They obviously bring in a Kevin Seitzer just from an approach, just the vibe and the feel over these couple days here, and we'll have all week. It is a little different. The temperature has just been turned down just a little bit.
Well, and if turning the temperature down turns the bats up, that would be great. Cut 7, Dan, I think, liked seeing some of the power on display yesterday.
Good to see the ball leaving the ballpark, and Hanny not to be outdone by Hogan again, and then Laz at the end, really swinging the bat. I think we're really seeing the positives of using that middle of the field approach, and guys really driving the ball that way out to the middle, and ball carrying really well today.
Hogan Windish. Did you know that name before yesterday?
Yes.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Prospect?
You didn't?
I apologize.
I mean, do you even pay attention to this team?
I got so many young
Do you
prospects.
even spend any time thinking about the Mariners, Brock? You don't know Hogan Windish? Do you even like sports? Logan Gilbert, good. Maybe not his best outing, but he was good yesterday. Struck out the side in the first. Gave up a couple of runners in the second, came out, and then those runners came around to score. I think he's going to join us tomorrow, is our understanding.
Tomorrow yes.
Yeah, looking forward to just catching up with Logan and hearing a little bit more about where he's at this start of this season, and maybe whether or not he ends up starting opening day. He was asked about that yesterday. Is that something he's interested in? Here's cut 5, Logan Gilbert, on whether or not he'd like to start the opener.
Yeah, it'd be awesome if it happened, but we have 5 opening day starters, so I don't think anybody should get their feelings hurt because on different teams we probably all start the first day. So it's a huge honor to whoever gets it. Obviously Castillo being the veteran is very, very deserving, but every time I'm out there in spring I feel like I got to prove myself all over again, so don't want to get ahead of myself.
And as Justin Hollander said, pretty good opening day starters here at Seattle.
Pretty good problem to have.
Pretty good problem to have. It's a pretty good guys have taken that ball on opening day for a pretty good amount of years.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Well, you also got a lot of relievers vying to make that opening day roster. They added another one with a possibility yesterday. Trevor Gott, you may remember the name. He was here 2 years ago, had signed in the offseason and made the opening day roster, pitched 30 times out of the pen, and then I think it actually really hurt them that year. They traded him along with Chris Flexen to the Mets for nothing. They were just trying to get rid of the Flexen salary, is sort of how it seemed. And I know that allowed them to do a little bit more later in the year. I forget what other reliever they added because of it. But I really felt like they missed out on God, who was a pretty good pitcher. He's had some issues since then. Didn't pitch at all in the big leagues last year. He signs just a minor league deal this year. But when he's going, he's a strikeout guy.
Yeah, you know what strikes me as well about that, Salk, is how many of these veteran guys want to come back here.
Well, the veteran pitchers sure do.
Yes, they do.
Hey,
yes.
I can pitch here, and some of my fly balls won't go out of the park.
That's
yes,
it.
Please.
That's it. But it's also, for the struggles offensively, messaging, the struggles of controlling the zone, the struggles that you've had on that side. It's been the inverse for pitchers. There have been rebirths here. Guys found new life, new blood. Paul Sewald, the prime example of that just a couple years ago. So not a surprise to see so many veteran arms coming here and seeing if they, too, can remake their career.
So that's what they're doing on the pitching side. As for the rest of the offseason, we spoke with Justin Hollander, Mariners GM, yesterday, cut 13. We asked him about just the offseason in general. How happy
I feel
was he?
fine about the offseason. I want to answer this in the right way. We, in general, when you go to an offseason, you spend all of October vetting what are the possibilities with other teams. And then free agency starts in early November, and you vet all those possibilities. We tried very hard to make transactions that maybe were more impactful than what we ultimately ended up doing. What we did not want to do is make transactions for transaction's sake. Doing things to make me emotionally feel like we accomplished something that actually made us worse is not a good decision in the long run. There's all sorts of biases and moral hazards that you can attach with the jobs that people in my role do. And what I can't get caught up in is doing something that makes me feel good in a moment. Hey, let's shake up the snow globe. Let's do a bunch of things that ultimately make the roster worse, make the floor lower without making the ceiling higher. So we would have liked to have accomplished more to add more to the team. I don't think that there's an end date on doing that right now.
Ooh.
Could there be a better answer than that?
No.
Could you have answered that question any better?
Could you have written it down?
Right.
As I say sometimes to these young guys in broadcasting, I said, do me a favor. Go back and listen to Hypnotoad in a hurry. Go back and listen to Jason Benetti's call in real time as TCU ran the kicking team onto the field and did something he and I had never experienced before without a timeout and time ticking down, and write a script better than what Benetti did in real time in that minute, and rehearse it for a week, and you won't do it any better than he did in real time. And honestly, if you were to write down an answer from a firm or what have you, you couldn't do it any better than Justin answered it in real time with us yesterday.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good answer to that question.
Not done yet. There's no time table that's got to be over right now. And let's see how this thing plays out. Let's see what happens around the league this month with starting pitchers. Let's see what the first couple months of this year look like. And if there's an opportunity, got to take advantage of it.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
You want to hear the sound one more time, Brock? So this Niners blogger, I got to play it again. This Niners blogger,
I said you
Grant
could. Okay,
Cohn.
this is the last time.
His story of his plane flight to the combine is just out of this world. Take a listen.
So I'm walking through first class, and I see Seattle Seahawks head coach Mike McDonald and Seattle Seahawks general manager John Schneider just sitting next to each other casually, going to the combine like me. So I go to my seat, and coach, I have the money, but I just wanted to go coach this time. And I'm sitting there, we take off, and I notice this shorter, older gentleman with really white hair walking next to me. And he's trying to go to the bathroom, but the flight attendants are passing out beverages, so they tell him, sir, you're gonna have to go back to your seat until we're done. It was Pete Carroll, flying coach. Apparently the Raiders don't quite have the funds to send him first class like the Seahawks do with their personnel. So Pete Carroll waited, as he was told, and then went back to first class, not to use the restroom really, but to just stand in first class without a first class ticket. And he did that for an hour. He was talking to Mike McDonald and John Schneider about God knows what. So Pete Carroll did that for about an hour, and clearly the flight attendants knew who he was because they didn't bother him. If I had tried to do that, they would have tased me.
Don't tase me, bro.
The tasing comment does get me each time. I mean, Jody Allen has a lot more money than the
Mark
Raiders
Davis.
and Mark Davis do, right?
That's right. Had infused with some cash, Mr. Brady and some others, but still not enough, Pete. Sorry, you're going to fly in, coach.
I think that's Brady who insists on that.
I don't know.
Maybe.
But I think we do hear from
that's
John
everything you need to
Schneider
know.
this morning
Yeah,
here
like,
pretty soon.
in about a half hour or so, I
Something
think
like
he's
that.
meeting with the media, and
Gets
then
on the
Mike
podium.
McDonald tomorrow. We're going to be taping with a bunch of guys, it sounds like, maybe after the show today. So over the next few days, we are expecting Logan, Bryce Miller. We're expecting Cal. We know Dan Wilson is going to join us tomorrow for sure. That's
already booked.
set. That's booked.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
We'll see. A couple other guys we've talked through having on. Colt
I'm
Emerson.
working on Ichiro.
Yeah. Good luck.
I'm trying on Ichiro.
Yeah, how's it going?
Yeah.
No?
I don't know.
It doesn't feel like
We'll
it's going
see.
that well. Doesn't feel like it's going all that well.
Don't you ever count me out.
Yeah, no, I'm going to count you out on this one. I've been trying on that for 15 years. Yeah.
So I got connective tissue.
You do?
Yes.
Not enough for that. I don't think you got that much connective tissue.
He might let you work out with him.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to.
He'll let you stretch him if you
Okay.
need to, but I don't think he's going to sit down for an interview in English. That's
All
for
right.
darn sure. It's Brock and Salk. We have a few more minutes left here. It is Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Red Sox star Rafael Devers says he's not giving up his third base spot for the newly signed Alex Bregman. What is the real headline?
Real headline, would you like to not give up playing third base in Seattle? They could put together a package that would entice the Red Sox, but Boston just signed Devers to a long extension. I think cooler heads are going to prevail. Bregman is a far better fielder than Devers is at third base. Rafael, my man, you got to be okay with playing DH.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
All right, Mike Salk here. Luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Comfort is going to meet elegance this summer. You can experience breathtaking Cascade views, world-class dining, the best entertainment, and the new hotel, which is opening up this summer. They got Deluxe King and 2 Queens, Premium King and 2 Queens, Grand Suites, Signature Suites, the whole deal, all with the great views of the Snoqualmie Valley, an awesome spa, and this whole new entertainment space and convention center. It's going to be great. New food venues there as well. Go to snocasino.com and see Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
It's time to go all in at Toyota of Kirkland. All in on the largest savings opportunities on the largest inventory of Tacomas, Tundras, Prius, and the BZ4X. The incredible team at Toyota of Kirkland is all in on your car buying experience. They'll set you up with a test drive and you can take that car home on the same day. Come on down to Toyota of Kirkland and get all in on the best deals with the best inventory. Check out their wonderful showroom today or go all in online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
O'Brien. Doctors across the country are urging Congress to reverse devastating Medicare cuts that jeopardize physician practices and patient access to care. American Medical Association President Dr. Bruce Scott has more.
Medicare payment to physician practices has fallen 33% since 2001. Costs are increasing all around us. This means physicians have to make difficult choices and, in some cases, limit the number of Medicare patients they see.
80 healthcare organizations and 50 state medical societies wrote congressional leaders asking for change.
This is the 5th straight year of Medicare cuts. It's unsustainable. Congress needs to fix Medicare now, connect Medicare pay to inflation, and help doctors keep their practices open to ensure access for Medicare patients in the future.
To learn more about the need for payment reform, visit fixmedicarenow.org. That's fixmedicarenow.org.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you bought that TV in a parking lot. It just happened to not come in a box or include a remote. And when you finally managed to turn it on, all it displayed was the menu of Grumpy's Tacos. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man, high five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Woo, up top, Bike Shop. Yeah.
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messethorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years.
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo.
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five.
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Does your yard need shade, privacy, or a little brightening up? Look no further than Big Trees. I'm Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. At our 30-acre location, there are thousands of trees to choose from and knowledgeable staff, including a board-certified master arborist, to help you find exactly what you're looking for. Visit the nursery and learn more about Big Trees at bigtreesupply.com.
Beauty, privacy, instantly. Big Trees.
The nonprofit Puget Sound Senior Baseball League plays real baseball on the best fields. The season's first tryout for adults ages 18 to 65 and older is this Sunday, March 2nd at Hogan Park at Russell Road in Kent. With 10 divisions featuring different age and skill levels, there's room for almost every ball player, from ex-Little Leaguers to high school and even former college and pros. Get all the info at pssbl.com. That's pssbl.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk
Weekdays 6 to 10.
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
How much time could you spend in one day with a foam roller? Like, could you spend an hour just stretching with a foam roller? Is that something you could do?
You know what I would like to do?
That?
Is I've looked at your legs
Oh, my God.
most of this morning.
Stop looking at my legs.
Wow, from the calf down, it's amazing. You're like, do you have, what is that disease with no hair?
Alopecia?
You have alopecia.
I don't think anyone's ever accused me of having alopecia.
You have alopecia from right at the top of your calf
Yeah.
down. I wonder again if that's a testosterone thing. Kind of, like if you show your doctor some of that. But what I would love
Not
to
on the
do.
inside. I have here. There's
no,
tons
you
of
do.
hair here. It's
You
just on
do.
the outside.
Yeah, it's.
Well, you don't have any hair there either.
Yes, I do.
Oh, I guess you do.
Yes, I do.
I don't know.
Yes. No, I don't have a problem with it, whatever. But what I'd really like you to do is I'd like to take your IT bands.
Uh-huh.
You ever rolled out your IT
Yeah, it
bands?
hurts.
Oh, does it hurt?
It kills.
I mean, it hurts more than that foul
Well,
ball.
that's why I was
hitting me.
asking you. How long do you
could
think
I
you
last?
could spend on a foam roller in one day?
I mean, it sounds like a borderline inappropriate question.
Not really. No,
Yeah, kind of a
it's
little
not
bit.
It's not
No.
an inappropriate question
How much-
at all.
How much
unless
time
you turn it into
could
one.
You spend with a foam roller,
Brock.
like,
Do I need to tell people?
What?
Justin and I were just talking about how uncomfortable we are that you've said butt sweat like 5 times today.
Seriously?
Why are you talking about butt sweat?
Because sitting here with the sun on my back, I get a little butt sweat.
But you're saying other people are being inappropriate.
Yeah, a little butt sweat. Yeah, a little butt sweat here.
I watch these guys over here, and they will spend an hour just hanging out on the
Right.
foam roller, just
Yeah.
working and stretching. I watched Fujinami,
Yes.
the tall pitcher who actually looked really good the other day.
Yep.
He must have been over there for 60, 75, 90 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not
just
that big.
hanging out
I'm
with
not-
the foam
I'm
roller.
not that big a
I
fan
mean, maybe
of
you
that.
wouldn't have a bad hamstring if you made.
I know that. No,
No.
I'm not saying they're in the wrong. I'm just it seems like a hard thing to do, and it just seems kind of boring.
I would agree with that.
Right? Just like a really,
yes.
especially he was by himself.
Yes.
That seems
My
boring.
chiropractor gets mad at me, and I can't lie to him. Right? He's one of those, like, it's kind of like flossing your teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, how often do you floss? You can lie, but then the minute they start flossing, you get like they know.
They know.
Yeah, and the chiropractor's got this little thing for my neck that I'm supposed to lay, and it's like a foam roller, and it just, gosh, it's aggravating. It hurts, but I know I should do it more. And he's like, yeah, how much time? And I'm just honest, like, none.
None.
I
spent
can,
none.
You know what? I can see that. Yeah, will you please try to do a little more of that? Kind of feel that way
All
with
he
the foam
needs to
roller.
do is make it a competition.
Yeah, that's true.
Doesn't he know how to motivate you? Just be like, well, some of my other clients are doing it 20 minutes a day.
Is this, by the way, is this a start of tidbits, or do you want to do receivers? What do you want to do here?
Let's do receivers, and then we'll come back to.
Because I
to
gotta have,
tidbits.
I got 3 or 4 tidbits.
Yeah,
I've
we'll
learned.
finish up maybe with some tidbits.
All right.
So, Article yesterday, ESPN.com, from Bill Barnwell, going through all of the free agents for all of the positions.
Okay.
And he ranked and tiered all of them, right? So it was like tier 1 was franchise players, and there aren't that many of them. Tier 2 was Pro Bowlers. Tier 3 were solid starters. And then there were like kind of...
And he did this by position group?
Yeah,
Okay.
iffy starters, and then guys competing for a roster. I mean, he went all the way through everything.
Wow.
I thought that the one that was in some ways most interesting in Seattle, obviously offensive line is a big one as well, but the receiver one is fascinating because everybody seems to be on this trade DK thing now. I don't know where they all found it, but for some reason, now everybody is talking about trading DK Metcalf as a possibility this offseason, and you're seeing it more and more often. I know Frank Schwab was on yesterday with Wyman and Bob, and he mentioned it as a possibility. So anyway, if you were to trade DK, you would sure think that the value would be incredibly high because the free agent list is not great, and we know that this draft class is not great in terms of wide receivers.
Yes.
But that also means
Sounds great in premise.
that if you want to replace DK,
That's right.
then there's not a tremendous number of options out there
2x equals 6.
to replace him.
How do you figure out x? Right, you divide one side by 2, 6 divided by 2, x equals 3. So kind of like Justin Hollander said with these trades and what everybody wanted to see done and everything else. So we got an equal sign. Right, and here we go. The Mariners on this side, we're going to take this pitcher, we're going to take this player, and we're going to trade them. And on the other side, I've got to get equal fair. And I think therein is why this has cranked up. Because a year ago, you were a little ahead of this. For you, it was more identity and team build, and it wasn't necessarily kind of value. But at that point, he had 2 years left on his contract. At that point, there was a draft class that was historic in the top 10 with receivers, as well as some other free agents. At that point, there was just no way a year ago in that equation to really make that make sense. Now, as you fast forward to here we are today, John's in Indianapolis, conversations are being had. You've got now time is of the essence because DK's got 9 months left on his contract, not a year and 9 months. You got a market that is favorable because that junk you sent me of the other players.
You weren't impressed?
No, I was not impressed with Stephon Diggs coming off yet another injury, who's a madman. Not very impressed with that list of other possibilities that if you were to make that trade, okay, so find me then a capable, good free agent receiver.
Here's your tier 3 list. There was nobody in tier 1, no franchise players available. Tier 2 was just T. Higgins.
Oh, okay.
He was in the Pro Bowl. You didn't have him as the My guess is Jamar Chase would have been in the franchise tier 1.
Yep.
They signed him. T. Higgins goes into the second tier of Pro Bowl type players. So then you get to tier 3, which are the starters. Hollywood Brown.
Tiny, injury prone, no thanks.
Doesn't seem like a fit, but if anybody would know him, McDonald should know him from the time in Baltimore.
Wasn't great in Baltimore, wasn't great in Kansas City.
I didn't say he was, but if he saw something that he liked, all right, maybe there's a possibility, but hard to imagine. Amari Cooper?
Old.
Bone on bone.
Hey.
Bone on bone?
Feels like
I know. What do you mean it feels like it? Does he actually have bone on bone, or are you just saying
Do you think
that?
anybody's ever going to say they got bone on bone?
So you have no idea.
Joel L. Embiid is looking at microfracture. Do you know who he is? He
Yes.
plays in the NBA.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
I think he's nearing bone on bone. Amari Cooper, man, he was beat up 3 years ago.
I know. So old, but again, starter. He is a starter in this league. Stephon Diggs, you just covered. Chris Godwin?
Beat up, again injured. Love him. But injury, unsustainable, doesn't
and then,
post.
Potential cap casualties, Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel. Hard to see how either of those really fit this roster.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. I mean, Cooper would be a homecoming, right? Going to be cut, but there's probably markets elsewhere as a slot receiver in 11 personnel like Buffalo that are going to fit a lot better than a 12, 21, this kind of run. Yeah.
Doesn't really seem like a fit.
Yeah.
Godwin, of all those names, the most interesting one to me was Godwin.
Yeah.
Right?
Been injured a lot, man.
I know. I didn't say it was a perfect one, but
beat up.
if you were to trade DK and get back something legitimate, I mean, again, this isn't about finding your perfect receiver. The idea is you trade DK Metcalf, you get back at least a first-round pick, and then you use those picks to get better somewhere else on your roster.
Right.
It's not about subtracting. It's not about looking at this list and being like, hey, you know what would be good for the team? let's get rid of DK Metcalf and bring in Chris Godwin. We'll be better. Nobody thinks that. I don't think that. Nobody advocating for a DK Metcalf trade thinks that. It's stupid. There is not one player on this list, with the possible exception of T. Higgins, who would be an upgrade or even an equal to DK Metcalf, and all of them, many of them actually, would be significant downgrades.
Correct.
We know that.
Correct.
That is taken into account.
Yes.
The idea is, could you get by with Chris Godwin or somebody like that while getting back something extraordinary for DK Metcalf that you turn into either another offensive lineman, another defensive lineman, part of a trade for somebody who might become available, like a Myles Garrett, just as an example.
Yep.
Could you get more value for your team and then deal with having Chris Godwin for a year or so until you find your next draft pick at wide receiver?
Yeah, that is where the whole 2x equals 6 doesn't really play, because it's a much bigger equation than that. Then you got parentheses, and then you got a dividing line, and you got brackets, and you got all sorts of other stuff.
You got to do a little PEMDAS.
And then you got sine, cosine,
You
cosine,
got a little,
sine.
you got a little PEMDAS, Brock. You know what PEMDAS is?
No, I don't.
You don't?
PEMDAS?
That's your order of operations, Brock. You want to start with parentheses.
Oh, okay.
Then you want to go to exponents.
Uh-huh.
Then you want to go to multiplication, division.
It's called PEMDAS?
And then addition, subtraction.
What is your sine, cosine, cosine, sine?
Well, that's trigonometry.
I know. Can you do that for me, though? I like when you do that.
I don't do that. You do that.
Oh, really? I thought
Yeah,
you do sine,
no,
cosine, cosine,
I mean,
sine,
I know there's
sine,
sine,
cosine,
cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant, and cotangent.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Good.
but-
Yeah, that's what you're getting to when you're talking about this stuff, because it becomes much bigger than that
You
single
go from
thing.
calculus to trigonometry.
One other little challenge in this whole formula, Salt, one other bit of the equation that's been a little bit of a stumbling block and been hard is finding receivers. And it's not like you've got some young up-and-comers. It's not like Jake Bobo could be anywhere near that role. He's a fifth receiver on a Super Bowl team, fourth or fifth receiver. Great special teamer, blocker, role player. He's nowhere near a 2 or really a 3. Right, Derek Young never really has grown into that as well. He's a 4th or 5th, so you don't really have that young guy also on your roster.
Other than JSN, obviously.
Obviously, he's your one.
So the next question is, in this scheme, with fewer wide receivers on the field, is the wide receiver position less important because you're not throwing as many of them at your opponent all the time, and you want to really invest in the tight end position, et cetera? Or is it more important because, hey, you got 2 guys, you better make them count, because wide receivers are still pretty relevant in the NFL.
That's right, because you're not going to have volume. So when you have opportunity, you better maximize it. If you're not throwing 40 times, you're going to throw 28 times, you better have the right guy. I was chatting, gosh, who did I run into the other day that had a connection with Clint Klubi? Oh, I was in, how about this? This is just, I'm always on. So
You're always on.
So I never turn this job off. So I'm in the Atherton Hotel in Stillwater, and I'm walking, and who do I see at the elevator? I see Todd Grantham. Do you know who Todd Grantham is? Todd Grantham is the now D coordinator for Oklahoma State. Todd Grantham's been a D coordinator at Florida and the SEC. Todd Grantham, for the last couple years, has been where? The New Orleans Saints.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I thought to myself, fire, take a shot, and we're catching up. And I'd done a bunch of his games through the years. Oh, why Stillwater? Yada, yada. Hey, by the way, I'm just kind of curious. You know, I still do stuff up in Seattle. Clint Kubiak, what was your experience with him? Great guy. Great dude. Knows his run game.
I'm glad he didn't say who.
Yeah. No. He knew him. He said, here's the thing about that system. And this totally circles back. And this is the way my left-handed middle child analytical mind works, because it circles back to that elevator conversation. He said, the challenge with that system is when you get behind the sticks.
Right.
You better have a dude. Those were his exact words.
Yeah, and we've heard that from everybody, right?
Yes,
We've
we
heard
have.
that from DJ. We've heard that from a bunch of folks. Just
That's
like,
right.
hey, everything's great until you get behind, or until you, and you said just get behind the sticks.
Get behind the sticks.
And here's the problem with that. This is I'm trying to be very positive about the scheme and about the system. But one challenge you run into is when you're running the ball a lot, it's pretty easy to get behind the sticks.
It can be.
Not because of sacks.
It can be.
But because of the stupid holding penalties.
Sure.
And I will
100%.
continue to say
100%.
that holding should be a 5-yard penalty on a running play, 10 yards on a passing play.
Yep.
But, man, do they call a lot of holds on running plays.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Especially.
So
it seems like on those outside stretch.
So when you're now in behind the sticks and it's 3rd and 11, what do you got to have? A Jordan Jefferson.
You got to have a dude.
Which is what he had. What did they not have in New Orleans last year? A dude.
And is JSN one of those dudes? I mean, if you want to go down this road, you drafted this guy with the number 20 pick. And you got a Yahoo in the studio next to ours saying he's the best wide receiver in the world. If he is that thing, then he's your dude. And he's your number 1 guy. And if you're willing to say it, then you got to be willing to do it. And you got to have then
isn't he your number 1 because of the other one on the other side? I mean, I think
you're not best in the world, and you're not a number 20 overall pick.
Well,
and
stop it. Stop quoting him best in the world. You know it, and I know it, and everybody knows it. Only one man says that, okay? And every time he does, we all kind of giggle the same way. He is a 1 when DK is there, is a 1. If you take, again, to go back to your formula, you're what? You PEMDOT? I don't know where. Yeah, PEMDOS. I don't know where it would be in that. But take then him out, and you're left with that guy. Can he be everything he was this year's 100-catch guy and 1,000-yard receiver and Pro Bowler without DK there? And I have some reservation with that. I have some question with that. I think he's unbelievable. I think the two of them are peanut butter and jelly. I think it's really great. I think it's why you move on from Tyler and why it makes moving on from DK without, again, on this roster, a 3, 4, or 5.
But again, I think the question becomes, what if your wide receiving core is Chris Godwin and JSN, and then because of that, you have Myles Garrett as your defensive end.
And then you draft a 3rd-round receiver, maybe the little kid out of Oregon.
Exactly.
Like your little scat back receiver. And yeah, it opens up possibilities.
Is that a better wide receiving core? No.
No,
but
it's not.
You also, in my scenario, have Myles Garrett. I'm not saying that one would necessarily equal the other.
Yep.
Or you've got some other dude.
You know who comes to mind? And we don't have DJ tomorrow. Again, he's at the Combine this week, and he's working and watching, but we will get him all the way up to the draft. You know what actually comes to my mind a little bit? And one of the teams that you have seen people mention for DK are the Chargers. So the Chargers did what last year?
They did that.
They ran it unapologetically. They moved on from Mike Evans. They moved on from their veteran receivers. They drafted Ladd McConkey. And Ladd McConkey, really good year. And there actually is some JSN kind of comps to him. JSN's better, but he's not far behind. Had a great year. And what are they saying? We need more.
We need another wide receiver.
We need DK Metcalf. We need that kind of guy to complement Ladd and complement this run game. And so, man, you can talk yourself round.
I wonder if they
round
really
and
do.
round.
I wonder if Harbaugh thinks that. I'm sure a lot of people outside of that building think that.
Yeah.
I wonder if Harbaugh thinks that.
I would think he does.
You think so?
I would think so.
I wonder.
Yep.
I am curious. I mean, look, they built that thing in San Francisco with him. They didn't. I mean, what was it, Ted Ginn?
Crabtree.
Crabtree. Look, those guys weren't that good.
You
try to test me with a sorry. He called him a sorry receiver.
Vernon Davis, pretty good.
Tight end.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. No one's saying that you don't need tight ends. But I don't know. Like Crabtree and Ted Ginn. I mean, what was that? That's not like some world
pretty good players.
They were okay. No, stop it. You're making Michael Crabtree into something more than he was.
Who's talking about you?
Good player.
Who's talking about
He wasn't
you?
a great player. He was good. I mean, come on. And Ted Ginn? Ted Ginn was on like 35 different teams. He could run, but he wasn't that good a player. I mean, you talk about Hollywood Brown. It's basically the same kind of guy. Is Ted Ginn any better than Hollywood Brown?
And is that what you want? Do you want Jackson and Ted Ginn? You want Jackson and
I mean,
Hollywood
maybe
Brown?
if I have an offensive and defensive line that are dominant. Yes, like I'm willing to deal with that.
Back to my Blue 88 question from my buddy. I think these don't have to be mutually exclusive. I think in this market, and I may feel differently when the new league year begins and we see who's franchised and all of that, but I feel like some of the market factors are in a favorable position for the Seahawks.
Brock, we got about 5 minutes left.
We got about
here.
5?
Let's get into some tidbits, some little things we've seen and noticed around camp here, around spring training the last couple of days. Let's have some tidbits.
You ready for a tidbit?
Yeah.
Ty Locklear's a tidbit, and he's not one little thing. He is a big man.
He's a whole takeaway.
Yeah, remember 1 year ago, right behind this net that we now have up, and I don't know about you, but I feel safe
Much
today.
safer.
I'm not.
Because they're not taking batting practice.
I'm not looking over
today.
my shoulder. We don't see balls zooming by
Well,
us.
there's no batting practice.
Oh, maybe
I mean,
that's a part of it, too.
yeah.
So maybe we didn't even need the net
Yeah.
today. But remember a year ago at this exact time, who was the name? Ooh, this Ty Locklear. Yeah, he may be one of these young guys. He may be one that kicks the door down. He may be one that gets an opportunity. He's one that they're super, super excited about. Former second-round pick, college player, came up last year and certainly had a lot of swing and miss. and certainly had some of the struggle. Flashed at times, had a couple big hits, but had no consistency, and went back down to AAA. Just watching him in the cage yesterday, I will do a little homework over the next few days and talk to Seitzer and AD and these guys, because man, you can't. I look at him and I see like physically Paul Goldschmidt. And some of the swing and some of the size. Goldschmidt was an 8th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
He came out of Texas State, and obviously he's become a Hall of Fame kind of caliber player. So by no means am I putting that, but just body type, size, structure, compact swing, the biggest Popeye freaking forearms maybe on the whole roster. I'm going to kind of keep my eye out. You got Williamson on your little watch list?
Mm-hmm.
I got my little watch on
I think that's
Locklear.
a good one now that he's had a taste of the big leagues. And,
do you really want to platoon a 5'7" first baseman with Luke Raley over there?
I don't want to, but,
He'd be the shortest first baseman in all of baseball.
He might be the shortest first baseman in history. I mean,
Yep.
that is a rarity.
Yes, it is.
And especially when you're asking Jorge Polanco to move across the
Yes,
diamond
you
and
are.
play third.
Uh-huh.
And Luke Raley is not a defensive first baseman. That's not going to be his strength. Yeah, I think there's a real I think there's a conversation there. I think you're right on that one with Locklear.
Okay.
That's a pretty good takeaway. I've been enjoying just sort of watching Randy Arozarena walk around here. He is not loud. He does not make a lot of noise.
A lot of baseball players move in herds.
Yes.
He
They do.
doesn't.
He moves to where he wants to go.
Yes.
He's very determined. He exudes an intensity.
Uh-huh.
Not unfriendly, by the way. No. I said hi. We said hi to him, and he was very friendly. You tried to throw a ball at him, and he got ready to bunt.
He was ready to bunt.
He was ready at any moment.
Totally pissed you off.
No,
like
stop.
don't you dare try to bunt.
No, it was great. It was. He seems like a friendly dude, but he's intense. He's going about his business.
Mm-hmm.
He is just like a power-packed little.
Yes.
He's not as big as I thought he was. I thought he was going to be a little bigger. I did not get a chance to see him up close last year. When I see him on TV,
His
he
presence
looks bigger.
feels bigger.
Yeah, but it's in like a free safety package.
Yeah.
Like he's
a little running back, free safety, little bow-legged guy. Yeah.
A lot of power in there.
Your boy Robles. When Kevin Seitzer said we live in an ADD world, that dude's ADD.
Yeah. Oh, he's bouncing all over the place.
That guy is everywhere.
Yeah, I just watched him jump over a bunch. They have a bunch of, what do you call those things there?
Sleds.
No. Just right
Hurdles?
here in front of hurdles.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of hurdles stacked up, and
Yep.
he just jumped right over those.
Of course he
Yeah,
did.
he just couldn't help himself.
Uh-huh.
Like a middle school kid.
Yeah. What do you think of, and he's been out a lot, Fujinami. We watched him yesterday for about an hour after all of this. And I was talking to you again about this kind of flow and feel. And you watch some of the Japanese players, and Ichiro will stretch for like an hour and a half. And he was so much into that. And he's a big guy.
He's
Golly,
tall,
he's got to be
lanky.
6'4".
Yeah.
And
He's kind of built almost like Logan Gilbert.
Yeah, not quite as lanky.
No,
long,
but it's kind of the
but
same.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of fascinated, especially as, again, watch Titus do a lot of this and watch through the years of different things. And so much of our culture in baseball here in America is gas, and robotic and throw this way.
I mean, he throws 98.
He does, but he does it in this free flowing, and it's more fluid, and it's a little bit feel.
I think
and
that's because he's 6'4".
Don't try to diminish every point I
not.
make, okay?
But I think he's sick.
He's not a robot.
Talking about. I just gave you all your props on Tyler Locklear.
Okay, fine.
Jeez.
Just not a robot. That's all I'm saying.
Man, you're like one of those dads who, like, the kid goes 5 for 6 and is like, hey, I hit the ball great. The dad's like, what about the strikeout? You're like one of those dads.
It's only Tuesday, guys. Calm down.
Jeez.
What?
I said,
Are we taping with Bryce?
We're trying to. If you don't start being too
Do I
critical
need
of
to go rope him and gig him? I'll go do that. He's a gig him. Gig him Aggies.
How many times did he say sauce? A lot. In that behind the scenes video.
Yeah, I think I did retweet that video.
Apparently he loves Chipotle.
Yeah, he's looking for an endorsement.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's what in the video.
Oh, for sure.
I thought you watched it 3 times.
I paid attention to other stuff.
Oh, okay.
He does like Chipotle. You're right.
We'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. on the dot. Until then, the hay. See you, everybody.
Get to the chopper! Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
The Mariners win the AL West if what? There is a longing for a good team that I have, that everyone from around here has, that creates a lot of emotions. Simultaneously, I want to feel excited about this season.
Yes.
I want to see a path.
The Mariners win the American League West if Julio Rodriguez reaches his fullest potential. I think if Julio Rodriguez is the MVP candidate that we all know that he has inside of himself.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here from my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen. And PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request that complimentary design and estimate consultation today at 206-992-0364, 206-992-0364, or project ideas, explore photos at pcfgroup.com, pcfgroup.com.
Hey, it's Jason Rance. I'm here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. When you're dealing with business owners and the idea that they owe money to the IRS and they feel like they might be letting their staff down, and it just spirals out of control.
One thing I see with businesses, it's really tough because they have employees and maybe they're having a difficult time with the cash flow of the business. Then unfortunately, what a business often does is they quit making their payroll tax deposits, which is really about the worst thing you could be doing. I mean, it's a telltale sign if you're doing that. Hey, get someone that can help you kind of look at your business and see if things can be changed so that